Pilots Lounge number 89. You're just in time to have a good time. With 232 in the room, we have already broke a land speed record, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Holy moly, Spicoli, look at all these folks. A lot of regulars in here, a lot of new folks. Of course, you regulars, you've already got your wrenches, you know what I mean? All that good stuff. We're not going to hand out any tonight. Come back if you want in on that stuff. If you like what you see here this evening while we're hanging out, interviewing, talking to some of our friends, and also giving away some fantastic prizes, you have come to the right place. And again, if you like what you see, we'll see you next time and time after that. We've done 89 of these in a row, Saturday night, 9 Eastern time. Holy moly, look at all these folks in here. Good to see you all. So let's just talk a little bit about this. Obviously, you're here, so many of you, for the contest. We had, I think, around 4,000 views on the contest video and around 750 comments. That's amazing. Let me look just for sure. Yeah, 3,972 views, 759 comments, 395 thumbs ups, which is just kind of fun. But 759 of you guys have commented, and some of you twice. Don't worry. Everything's fair. We have a cool random generator that's going to make it where duplicate comments are removed. So it's all about just unique participants are going to be in the drawing. We'll get to that in a little while. We're just going to, I guess I would say, let the room fill up normally, but it's kind of good to go. The way it's going to go tonight, we're going to give people 5 minutes this time because it's such a large giveaway with so many new faces that we're going to give people 5 minutes to get into the room. And one thing I learned doing this is that not everybody has access to the fire emoji. I thought everyone had it. So that's another thing. Like, I wanted you guys to leave fire emojis in the comment. It doesn't matter. If you couldn't figure out the fire, you're still in. Every comment's going to count. But if your name is drawn by this random generator, what I want you to do is use 5 emojis that if you have fire, cool. If you have smiley faces, fine. If your name is picked, I want you to respond with 5 fire emojis right away. If you have them, if not, smiley faces. And then also, the email address is in the description of this video, info@pilotryanmedia.com. I want you to let me know right away what your shipping address is, partly because I need to know where you live, if you're in the United States or not, which it's going to help me determine how I want to proceed. So we really want this to be North American users, but I will, off camera, we can email back and forth, and I can work out a deal with someone if they happen to be out of the country. I'll help make it work. You'll be on the shipping will be on you, but I will help you. We'll see what's up. And now, if that falls completely through off camera, what we'll do is we can still run the random generator, and somebody will get notified later in the week that they won. What a surprise that would be. What do you think about that? Sound good? How about nods from the peanut gallery? Sound good? Okay. I see a lot going on right here. So you guys know we have Cody, Adair, and Jason Merkle with Horizon Hobby. They work with the E-flite brand. You see them all the time on Facebook, Facebook Lives, YouTube videos. They are going to be here hanging out, doing this with us. This is my giveaway, but they're here. We're going to talk to them about how they got started, with Horizon and all this kind of cool stuff. I want you guys to really get to know these guys. And if there's some questions you want me to ask them, make sure I see it in the chat. If you're really close to me, you can hit me in text or DMs or something, but don't go too crazy because I want to stay focused on them. I do have some questions I've already prepared for them and everything, but Mary Boozers, by the way, are producing tonight, so we're going to give them a load of thanks all throughout the evening. And Lori, whenever you're ready, let's bring on Jason and Cody. Whenever you're ready, it looks like you got a shrink ray on Cody, so you have to fix them. No, it's looking good. It's looking good. And then, look, it's 10 minutes into the show. About 10 minutes or so, maybe we'll go for a drawing. Sound good, everybody? Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jason and Cody. How are you guys?
We're good. We're doing great. We're having some fitting issues, it looks like, right now. But I think the community can hear us, see us.
Hey, guys, I love you in the chat, but with the emojis, I'm going to use them for like indicators of like real important kind of stuff. So do me a favor and save them if you can until it's time. You guys, it's like you think you won already. Look at this.
Oh my God, like the chat is crazy.
It's
so
going
fast.
Nuts. It's going nuts.
So Wes, right before we went live, I got booted out, and then when I came back, now my screen's like blurry in the background. I don't know what's going on there.
You've been bokeh, bro. You've been
bokeh. The internet has crashed.
He's been bokeh. So, ladies and gentlemen,
it's probably because you're texting me insults right now.
It's on my end. Interesting.
Oh, look at that. The youngin' doesn't know how to use Skype.
I don't.
Hey, why do you think I got producers for this stuff?
Oh, here we go. There's a really easy button here.
Yeah. Hey, check it out.
Executive producer back in the day.
So, yeah, guys in the chat, quit dropping emojis till I ask you to. Please do me a favor. We've got a lot to handle tonight. Again, all you folks who have been with me forever, so glad you're here. You're gonna deal with a whole lot of new faces tonight. Let's all be polite, cool, wonderful, helpful, and please. I know it's really hard to listen to instructions, but let's really try to do it. There's no call to action for emojis right now, so save it if you can. What am I looking at here, Lori? Anything? Okay. So I see you, Lori. And hold on a minute. I mean, which is fine. Am I still in it? Okay. I just don't see it anymore. There we go. I do want the Skype screen. I'm sorry, guys. Getting it dialed in. That's a lag, but that's okay. All right, guys. So listen, Jason's got the hat on. Cody's got the big headphones. He's got the planes behind him. You guys know these guys from Facebook Lives and stuff, and we're gonna get to know you a little bit. So I'm gonna have to kind of ignore the chat a little bit while we spend time with our guests, and then when it's time to do the giveaway, that's when I'll ask you guys to drop emojis and things. So, all right. Who's going first? So should we respect our elders and go with Jason first a little bit?
No. It's age before beauty.
Age before beauty.
Then all right, go ahead, Jason.
I'm kidding. I knew he was going to bring that back on me. He always does that kind of thing. No. Let's start with Cody.
All right, Cody, man. Let's do this. All right. We're just going to get it going.
I'll kind of tell you my background, why RC kind of became a thing for me. I actually grew up in Urbana, Illinois, next to a small town airport, Frasca Airport. And I used to always just, be interested in looking at the airplanes, before and after school. You would find me at that airport. That's where I would be at. And that's kind of what started it for me. So my birthday, after I was first introduced into aviation, my parents got me an air hog. If anybody knows what an air hog is, kind of one of those things you pump up with air, you fly it around until it runs out of air. But I started with that. And then the year after that, I graduated to the Firebird Commander by I think it was Hobby Zone, old school airplane there. And that's really what started it for me. And ever since that, I've really been passionate about aviation in general. At 18 years old, I knew I wanted to work for Horizon Hobby. And I actually started at Horizon Hobby at 18 years old, working in the distribution center, driving a forklift on second shift. I didn't make any money there because everything that I made went back into the company. I spent all of my paychecks with Horizon. So
awesome.
Then the next tier in the move up phase was product support for me. And I remember the managers of product support had reached out to me and asked me if I wanted the job. I didn't really even have an interview. I didn't even apply for it. They said, "Yeah, we know you spent a lot of money with us and you buy all of our stuff, and we think you'd be a good fit." So they brought me on board. Hardly had an interview. Spent 4 or 5 years in product support. Became a team lead. Some of the people that have any issues or any questions with our products may have spoke with me in this chat. But I had a lot of time and experience in product support, learning all of our products. Became a team lead in that department, and then just last year, Jason brought me on board into marketing. So I've been associate brand manager under Jason. Jason's great. I have not had a better boss at Horizon, although I can say my bosses at Horizon has been a pretty good experience. He may think I give him a hard time all the time, but he's a good boss, and that's why I do it. So, but no, I've been in marketing now for I would say it's just about a year, and it's been awesome. I get more community engagement with you guys. I get to hang out with awesome people like Ryan, and just do a lot more for the community now that I could have otherwise. So love it. Horizon's done a lot of great things for me, and it's been a really good career.
That's fantastic, man. Wow, you prepared for this, didn't you?
No, that was just off. I didn't have no script or nothing.
you guys are so easy to watch together, and it's a lot of fun. The Firebird Commander. So what was that? 2008, 2009?
Goodness.
I mean, when was
Let's
that?
see.
I'm just curious.
Jason, you might answer that. Jason's old enough. He probably developed it.
I can tell you the whole story of the Firebird and how that came to be and when that started. It would actually have been 1999 was the very first Firebird. It's a fun story, but I'll let Cody finish up his bit.
That's literally into it. Like I said, I've been into aviation and RC my entire life. I can't tell. I mean, a lot of people have a similar story. They've been exposed to aviation at a young age, and it's really done something for them. And they can explore that at a cheaper alternative than full scale through RC. And it's a very good experience across the board, any way you look at it.
Was there? Everybody loves. I love these. I love to find out where people come from. So you said you knew right away you wanted to work at Horizon Hobby.
Right.
So like some of your like first jobs were, like you say, distribution. Did you go to school? What did you study?
So I did go to school for a while. I actually took all of the prereqs to get into the aviation program here at Parkland College, our local community college, because I did want to be into full scale. It's very expensive, and I do have several hours logged in powered and glider airplanes. So I've got lots of hours logged in both. Alternative, generally speaking, full scale is where it's at. It's my passions, and it's right up there with me for RC as well. But yeah, no, I had all my prerequisites done for Parkland College to get into their aviation program, and then I also took project business training. I took business programs at Parkland as well to get certified. All my certifications done in the business category. Just before, because I knew that if I could move my career up at Horizon, I'd like to have those kind of things under my belt as well, because it looks better going, when you get higher into the business.
Right. So when it is trial by fire, you just don't get burned as bad.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly. There you go.
You've got some skills already to pay the bills.
Right.
I think that's great, man.
I had 10 years with the company. I had 6 of those in product support. And in product support, I would take 100 phone calls a day. I became a team lead for product support.
Dude, I remember you.
You may have
on the phone.
A lot of people.
Cody was always the guy that was cool to get on the phone. Not like other guys aren't, but it's like if you got Cody, like you were, he knew his stuff.
Ryan's just saying.
No, it's absolutely true. That's the benchmark. When I talk to other guys in other companies about how they need to behave, you're part of the culture that was what I would tell them what to do. You need somebody on the phone who knows the product, who's not a complete grump, and is easy to talk to.
Well,
yeah,
that's what it was for me. I mean, in product support, you can imagine, guys, you get a lot of in that department, whether good or bad. People are investing a lot of money in our products, and if something happens where it crashes or something happens, you may always end up with that negative phone call. But being a hobbyist myself, and
it's always the electronics, by the way.
Right. There you go. Being a hobbyist myself, you always level with these consumers. I mean, they don't have to spend their money with us, but they are, and we appreciate their business. Yeah. So we like to do what we can to make it right for them. It's not a robot on the other end of that phone. It's somebody who, generally speaking, should be passionate about aviation, who is interested in helping you guys out. Not, and now I can put a name to everybody's face. A lot of these guys in the chat I've actually talked to personally now, and I can put a lot of names to the face, and it's awesome. It's marketing has taken that product support experience to the next level for me, because now it's no longer just a phone call. It's actually meeting these people and talking to these people in real life, and it's super exciting for sure.
It really is. And we're going to bounce back and forth, I think, a little bit, because you answered a bunch of my questions. There's a few left, but I want to let's just keep on this kind of first steps stuff. So Jason, there's like two parts to this beginning question. I want to know how you got into RC, so we can go with that, and then lead me into how Horizon came to be for you as well.
So it can be long, it can be short. I can talk a lot, but I like
that's for sure.
Where it all came from. It's kind of, okay, there's Cody chiming in, peanut gallery. But before I start, I will say, because I was just texting my dad to make sure he's watching. So hi, Dad. Hi, Mom, if you're watching too. I think she might be as well.
Nice.
My mom and my dad have been big supporters of mine in this hobby and making this a career for a very long time. They may or may not remember this, but when I was around 16 or 17, I said, someday I'm going to live in Champaign, Illinois, and I'm going to work for Horizon or Hobbico. And they were like, oh, okay, Jason, whatever you say. But both my parents have been in the hobby at one point or another. My mom's dad, my grandfather, my granddad, is a lifelong modeler. So he's been building free flight aircraft, control line aircraft, radio controlled aircraft since the 40s and 50s. And he was a very phenomenal modeler. And I remember when I was very young, 5 years old, he would take us out to the field. And I remember it was and my parents may be able to correct these details, but I think it was a station wagon with wood paneling on the side. He had racks built for the back, and he had a number of models in there. And of course, everything back in the 80s was nitro powered or gas powered. So he did have some giant scale Cubs in particular. And I was completely fascinated, completely enamored. We'd go back to visit him just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where my mom is from. My dad is from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and he wasn't exposed to the hobby until later on when he met my mom and then with me. But then he got into the hobby pretty big, and we started flying radio-controlled airplanes when I was 10. We decided to wait until then for it to be safer for me and to make sure that I was ready for it. And so that would have been about 1990. We went to a hobby shop and we bought actually, if I recall correctly, my dad bought a Cox PT-19 U-control airplane for me.
Yeah.
And and my mom, I remember my mom going, no, not U-control. He'd just get him a radio-controlled airplane. So we took that back and we went to a hobby shop that had just opened not far away. And there was a 40 size glow trainer hanging up. It was a Royal 40S. Some people may know what that airplane is. Some people may not. It was a trainer. It was a shoulder wing airplane. It had a semi-symmetrical airfoil. It had an OS-40FP engine and a Circus Max 4 JR AM radio. And 4 channels. So it was a JR radio that was distributed by Circus Hobbies, which was in Las Vegas, which is where I grew up. And it was a complete package. We bought a flight box, all the stuff we needed for it. And and that was kind of the start of it. And I will say this, very interesting. So my parents, the reason they both ended up in Las Vegas is because they were in the Air Force. And so they both got stationed in Nellis Air Force Base. And so for that reason, there's something very near and dear to my heart, which is the Thunderbirds. I love the Thunderbirds. I have 5 different Thunderbird F-16s right now in my stable, all the way from the E-flite UMX, obviously the E-flite 70 millimeter. I have an old Kyosho Thunderbirds F-16, which was only sold in Japan many, many years ago. I have that. I've got the Freewing 90 millimeter. And then also at the very top, I've got a BVM 6-scale Turbine F-16 Thunderbirds, which is phenomenal. And today, they actually flew over Las Vegas. And for those that may not know, obviously, we've all been very impacted by this whole COVID-19 situation. And I know a lot of people are struggling with things, but a lot of people in Las Vegas are really struggling because the hotels are closed, the bars are closed. And so a lot of my friends, they've been impacted by this very directly. And it was very cool because the Thunderbirds went out and flew over Las Vegas today. So I'm getting a little emotional about it because I saw almost all of them posting videos, and it was very, very cool to see. So
Cool.
yeah, I really hope that it all gets back on track soon. And I was actually supposed to be visiting my family in a couple weeks here. Unfortunately, that's not going to be happening. But I do make it back to Vegas pretty often. And at one point in the 80s and 90s, Las Vegas was like a mecca for radio control. So for those that kind of know the history, Bill Bennett was he owned Circus Circus way back in the day. And he had a big hobby shop, Circus Hobbies. And I remember going to this hobby shop, and it closed not long after I got in the hobby, but it was unbelievable, the amount of stuff they had there. And Bill Bennett spent a ton of money on not only the hobby for himself, but on building the hobby into something more. And so for those that are familiar, he started the Tournament of Champions, which was held in Las Vegas at the Las Vegas flying field that a lot of people know very, very well, Bennett Field it's now called. And so I used to go to that with my dad, and we would see all the best pilots in the world. He'd bring them to Las Vegas, fly them here with a number of people to support them. He'd have them ship their models over, and he would give away tens of thousands of dollars to the best aerobatic pilot. And it was a really, really amazing part of our hobby for a very, very long time. And so he then sold Circus Circus. He sold Circus Circus Hobbies. Actually, I think he closed Circus Circus Hobbies. Circus Circus was the first importer of JR radios. And that's kind of my first somewhat connection to Horizon Hobby, because obviously not long after that, Horizon Hobby ended up with distribution of JR. And that was one of the biggest brands within Horizon Hobby for a very, very long time. And so my dad and I, we flew all kinds of relatively small globe-powered aircraft. But for some reason, I've always had this interest in electric power. And my dad and I, we really tried to get electric to work in the mid-90s. It wasn't really a thing. Back then, you were using brushed motors and car batteries. And we went to that hobby shop where we bought our first airplane, and they actually had hanging up a Great Plains electric hub. And it was brand new. The guy had never flown it. It was beautifully built, well covered. It had the stock motor in it. And then literally it had an on-off switch for the throttle, which a servo would hit. So when the servo would move, it would go full throttle. When the servo moved back, it would shut off. And it had a receiver battery. We bought, I believe, a 6-cell NiCad 1500 milliamp battery that weighed like a pound for this thing. And we were super excited. We got it all together. We took it out to the dry lake bed where my dad and I used to fly. And the guys out there had seen a couple of these not fly. And they're like, well, but maybe yours will fly. Who knows? And so my dad and I got the battery all charged up, and we let the guy that taught us to fly, Jim Miller, a really phenomenal pilot, still flying to this day. My dad just reconnected with him recently again, and hopefully they'll get to go out and fly the dry lake bed again soon. And so he, hits full throttle, and this thing just kind of rolls across the dry lake bed for hundreds of yards and won't take off. So, I was pretty disappointed. And then not long after that, a guy came to the field with one of those, and he had an OS-15FP in it, and he just flew the pants off of it. So my dad and I went home that day. We didn't have a 15. We didn't have a 10. We had a 25. So we put an OS-25FP on the thing.
Oh, no.
That was way too much for that airplane. And so I flew it that way for years. I mean, I flew that thing till it was literally starting to come apart. And then some years later, I decided that I really wanted to try it electric again. And right around this time is when RC groups, well, originally it was the E-Zone, mag came online in 1996. And I was one of the first members of that forum there. So for those that see me post on RC groups, you'll notice that my year of signing up is 1996. So I've been on RC groups for, holy cow, 24 years now, I guess.
OG.
So yeah. OG. And I was just a kid back then. But the nice thing about E-Zone, and then now what we know as RC groups, is it was a good way for people to share ideas and understandings of electric power systems way before it went mainstream in our hobby. And so one of the things that I read was that weight is obviously an enemy. And so one guy suggested to remove the servo that was in there for the throttle, and that weighed, standard servo weighed like 2 ounces, and then to change from a standard 4 AA NiCad receiver battery to I actually had a AAA receiver battery, a little 250 milliamp or something like that. And so I saved maybe 3 or 4 ounces, not a ton. And then I put an on-off switch on the outside of the airplane. So once you plugged in the battery, you turned this switch on, it went full power till the battery died. And I had to kind of rebuild the airplane because it had been flown a lot and really hard and was fuel soaked and everything. And so my dad and I went to a schoolyard by our house, the high school I went to at in Las Vegas, and we set it on home plate. And my dad held onto the tail and flipped the switch to full throttle. You know, it went on, and it took all the way until about second base, and it just barely got off the ground. And I got it up to, I don't know, maybe 150 feet, and I'm flying it around. And from that moment on, my dad and I were very hooked on electric power. And we flew it around for, I don't know, like 2.5 minutes. The battery died. I brought it down and landed it. We went to the hobby shop, which I later worked for, and we bought a master air screw. It was a car motor with a 3-to-1 gearbox and a 12x8 folding propeller. And we took that and replaced the stock direct drive 540 sized can motor that was on there. We didn't change anything else. And then we took it back to the schoolyard, flipped the switch, and now it took off between home plate and it got to the pitcher's mount and leapt off the ground. And then it flew for almost 5 minutes at full power. So we're like, wow, gearboxes are a big thing. And so by then we're really hooked. We went and bought an electronic speed control, which back then a brushed ESC for an airplane was very, very expensive. It was $100. And we bought that and we put it in there. So now I had throttle control, and best of all, I had a BEC. So now I didn't have to run a receiver battery, and that airplane completely transformed. And now
this is cutting edge.
It was
like, you guys must have felt like you were like NASA. You know what I mean? Like you guys were like innovating electrics. So had you seen, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's just so cool because had you seen anyone else doing anything like that with electrics? Because that you're talking 96, right? 99?
Yeah, this would have been about 95, 96 going into 97. And there were a couple of guys in Las Vegas that were doing things with electric. And also years prior to that, Kyosho had sold a lot of ARF airplanes that were electric powered that some people got to work and some people didn't. And then RC groups, though, or E-Zone back then, was really where I got most of my education and my information from.
Right.
And it was just an amazing experience to go from an airplane that didn't fly to an airplane that barely flew to an airplane that flew the pants off of itself, electric powered. And now I could fly it for 10 minutes and take it to the field, and everybody's like, wow, this is amazing. This is before brushless. This is before lipos. And so my first job when I turned 16, I went to work at a Hobbytown USA in Las Vegas. And a lot of guys that have visited Vegas have probably been to this Hobbytown. It was the biggest Hobbytown, highest volume, highest grossing in the chain for many, many years. And airplanes were a big part of that business. And so I worked there when I was 16, and I worked there through high school. I worked there through college. And yeah, I learned a lot at the hobby shop. I learned about cars. I've done everything, helicopters, boats. And I will tell you this interesting fact about then my relationship with Horizon Hobby started to accelerate in 1999. I think it was 99. I'm pretty sure. Maybe the guys at work will correct me on Monday. But that was the year that the original Firebird came out. And so at our hobby shop, for many years, we had tried to sell electric ready-to-fly aircraft of all kinds, and literally none of them worked. They weren't easy to fly because they barely had enough power to fly, so you always had to keep them on step. And the Firebird showed up at our store. Horizon sent us, I can't remember if it was a dozen or 2 dozen. It was basically like, they're like, hey, we know you won't buy this, so here they are for free, and here's a demo unit. Yeah. And try it. If you like it, buy some more. And I remember our store closed about 9 o'clock that night, and we were in a parking lot between a Circuit City and a Cadillac dealership. And the lights were about 15 feet high. And my boss was like, I don't know, you want to try it? I was like, yeah, what the heck, I'll try it. The original Firebird was 2 channels. It had throttle and it had rudder. You use throttle to maintain altitude, and you use the rudder to turn, of course. And it had 2 sticks. So the throttle was on the left and the rudder was on the right. It's very weird kind of relearning how to fly that way. And so I launched this thing in the parking lot, and I'm flying it around. I'm like, oh my gosh, it works. And I'm flying over Circuit City, and I'm flying over the Cadillac dealership, and we're just dumbfounded. So we go in and charge another battery and put a battery in it, and we're there, flying out in the parking lot in the dark. And then we wanted to see how durable it is, so I flew it into the side of the building. It bounced off the building. The nose was split open. I pick it up, throw it, and it keeps flying. And I'm, oh my gosh, this is going to revolutionize our hobby. And I want to say they were $99, and I think we went and ordered like 48 of them. Wow. And we just had them stacked up, and we were selling them to everybody. And that was a really, I think for Horizon Hobby, that was a very defining moment. for our industry. That was a very defining moment. The factory that built that airplane to this day still builds a lot of Horizon Hobby airplanes. Most of our best-selling trainers, that factory started with that product.
Wow.
And is now one of the biggest in the entire world at what it does. And that was kind of my connection to Horizon. I saw there that her was willing to push the envelope more than any other manufacturer in industry at that time or distributor at the time.
Yeah.
And so that kind of planted a seed that when I go to Champaign, because I knew it was going to happen, I'm going to probably go to work for Horizon Hobby. And so a few years after that, I got very heavy into brushless powered electric airplanes, and then LiPos became a thing. And one day I'm working at the hobby shop, and I had just spent thousands of dollars on a Mikado Logo 20 electric helicopter. And not only was the helicopter expensive because it was imported from Germany, and the Plettenberg motor was from Germany, and the Schultz ESC was from Germany, I had spent like $2,000 on matched nickel metal hydride cells, 3,000 milliamp cells. I mean, I'm a poor college kid at this point, and I'm blowing all this money on this, making it state of the art as it could be. And this guy comes in, the little guy comes in the hobby shop, and he looks at my helicopter up on the counter, and I'm super proud of it. And he goes, "How long does that fly for?" I said, "I get about four minutes of flight time." He goes, "I think I can make it fly for 4 times that." And I'm like, I don't know about that. He goes, "Yeah, I've got some lithium batteries. I bet I could do it." And for those that know this, this is Charlie Wang, who is the still owner of Thunder Power RC. And back in the day, Thunder Power really put LiPos on the map.
Yeah, they were the first. That
first.
was all you were going to get. I mean, that was all I could. The first LiPos I ever saw were Thunder Power. It seemed like it was the only option.
Yep. So the way that ended up was Charlie went back and built a couple of batteries for this helicopter, and I was out of town or something, and he couldn't get a hold of me. And so in Las Vegas, I was very fortunate to grow up with and fly around some household names. Some guys may know this, for example, Chip Hyde. When I was growing up, he was one of my idols. He flew at the field out there, best pilot in the world for many years, still a very talented pilot. And then also Alan Szabo, who was one of the best helicopter pilots there ever was. And he and I started flying helicopters about the same time, and he ended up with one of those Mikados as well. And Charlie went out to the field with those batteries, these lithium batteries that he built from cell phone batteries. That's what Charlie was doing, was building optional lithium batteries for cell phones and selling them through AT&T stores, or back then Singular stores. Very fun story. But he took them out to the field. Alan put them in his helicopter. Not only did it weigh a couple pounds less, it had more power because it was like the equivalent of 28 cells. We were flying them on 24 cells. And then it had I can't remember, 6,000 milliamp versus 3,000 milliamp. And the thing flew for like 15 minutes. And that was the start of what became Thunder Power. So Charlie and I would go back to his shop and build batteries for different products. And one of the things that he and I did is we created, a lot of people don't know this, but the 2200 milliamp cell that we all use, the dimension is 34 millimeters by 96 millimeters. There are a little bit of variation in them now, but that design, that shape, was the first custom-made LiPo for the RC industry ever. And that was made to replace the 2/3 sub-A nickel metal hydride batteries that we were flying in Zaggies back then.
Yeah.
And also some GWS airplanes. And so Charlie and I went and had that cell made, custom made, and that was the start of Thunder Power. And we went to CEF, we went to the NEAT Fair, we went to the San Diego Midwinter Electrics, and we sold these batteries out of the back of his car for a long time. And we were at CEF not long after that, and a couple of the guys from Horizon were there, and Horizon was getting very heavy into electrics. And Mike McConville sat down with Charlie and I, and Patrick Brown was there at the time. These guys are no longer at Horizon, but they were running what was the beginning of the E-flite brand back then. And we said, "Hey guys, let's make a deal. You guys should be the distributor for Thunder Power. And on top of that, we can make some custom LiPo batteries for E-flite that have a special safety circuit so guys won't overcharge them, burn their house down." And so that was the start of our relationship. Horizon became the largest distributor for Thunder Power. And that was my direct connection then to Horizon Hobby. And over the years, I'd always flown JR radios. I bought a lot of Hangar 9 airplanes and Sego engines, and I just loved a lot of what Horizon did. And then not long after that, they said, "Hey, we'd really like to take this E-flite brand to another level." and we want to go all in on electric, and we think you're the guy to do that. And so they brought me in for an interview, and I flew out to Champaign. Never had been to Champaign at this point, but I told everybody I'd live there someday. And I will say it was very eye-opening to go from Las Vegas, which is the valley surrounded by huge mountains and the desert, and to get to central Illinois where there's nothing but flat and some cornfields and bean fields and cornfields and bean fields. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I can do this. That'll be okay. And I went to interview at Horizon. They made me an offer. I moved out not long after that. That would have been 2004. And then I went from working on just E-flite. One of the things that was my passion was still electric-powered helicopters. And Horizon had sold a JR Voyager E helicopter that I owned a couple of, and I loved flying that helicopter. It was very expensive, very fragile. And so I really felt like the future of our hobby was ready to fly microelectric helicopters. And so they had stacks of samples from factories in China, and most of them didn't work. And I just spent the first couple of weeks of my time at Horizon not having a lot of airplanes to work on yet. And I started playing with these helicopters, and I'd be out in the parking lot trying to get a helicopter to fly. And I finally found a combination that worked. And that was what became the very first Blade helicopter. So for those that remember, E-flite was the brand that Blade helicopters were in. And then at some point years later, Blade became so big that it became its own brand. That was the start of Blade for us. And we had the Blade CP I worked on, then the Blade CX, which really blew the doors off the industry. We sold so many of those helicopters, and it really put Horizon Hobby on the map even more than they already were. It put our industry on the map. Then we had the Blade CP Pro, the Blade CX2. The Blade CX2 was the first ready-to-fly product that ever had Spectrum inside. And so in my time at Horizon, I was very fortunate to work on the birth of Blade, the birth of Spectrum. I was working with the Spectrum guys on the original DX6i transmitter because I wanted to come out with a 400 sized 3D helicopter, and I knew we couldn't just have a regular radio in there. It needed to be a computer transmitter, and unfortunately, it was impossible to get one from JR at a price to put in the box that we could afford, so we designed our own, and that was really the first ground-up designed radio. And that radio, gosh, I think a lot of guys are still probably using them to this day. I wouldn't be surprised if some guys in the chat.
That's my first legit radio.
Yeah. A lot of guys, it was their first legit radio. Either they got it with a product or they bought it separately. And, it's dated now. If you still have one, guys, please do me a favor and upgrade.
Right.
Because you're not doing yourself any favors. It's so limited in so many things. You can't assign switches. You can't have more mixes. But that was the start of a really great time for Horizon. Between 2005 and 2009, when I left and moved back to Las Vegas, Horizon grew leaps and bounds. It was Spectrum, it was E-flite, it was Blade. My boss and mentor at the time, David Ribby, was the guy who came up with Bind and Fly. And the idea of pulling an airplane out of the box and being able to bind it to this radio you already owned. And back then, a lot of the airplanes were first in their category, so we would include a battery and a charger. That's why they were Bind and Fly, not Ready to Fly, or not Bind and Fly Basic. And that just blew the doors off everything. And I know the guys at Hobbico had seen it at the time and were probably like, man, I don't know how we even compete with that. And, Horizon was so far ahead of the curve on 2.4, on electric, on Ready to Fly, Bind and Fly, that no one's ever really been able to catch up. And so, it was an amazing experience. I learned so much. I went to China. I went to all these LiPo factories, all these airplane factories, helicopter factories. I was only, in my mid-20s, and it was a grand time of my life. After that, I went back to Las Vegas. My ex-wife wanted to move back, so we went back. I went back to work at Thunder Power back in 2009 and worked there for a few more years until I saw that LiPos really, to some degree, became a commodity. Back in the early part of LiPos, what we did at Thunder Power was way ahead of what most people were doing, and low-cost LiPos didn't work. And if you wanted the best, you had to pay for it. And we were building batteries in Las Vegas, and to this day, they still do build some of those batteries in Las Vegas. And we did a lot of, not a lot of people knew this, but our parent company, Advanced Energy, we did a ton of UAV work. We did a lot of custom batteries for drones that were deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that was a big part of my job outside of the hobby stuff. And then I went to work for another hobby company, and then actually had my own company distributing sub-art airplanes. Some people may remember me from that. And then, my life changed, and I decided that I missed my job at Horizon very, very much. I worked in product development, though, originally. And over the years, I kind of learned that I really enjoyed the marketing side of things. And so Horizon brought me back as a brand manager, which is good because now I get to interact with the product and the product guys, and I know that part of the business. But then also, I love interacting with the customers more directly, seeing their reaction to the products, learning what they like and don't like about products. Learning how to message that within our industry is difficult because you have to speak to a very wide range of inexperienced to experienced people, sometimes with the same product. And so it's been a bit of a learning curve, and I think we've continued to grow in the last couple of years, and we continue to change the way we do things. For example, one thing we do now is obviously we work with you, Ryan, on getting you product early so you can make videos. So the day we announce anything, people they're hungry for content. They want to know everything about it. And we put out at least our marketing video, our launch video, we call it. And we try our best, weather permitting, sample permitting, to also make a flight talk video so guys can kind of see it in real-time action. But we know not everybody believes what we put out or trusts everything that we say. And so it's important that we have third parties like yourself fly the model, show the model, talk about it. And then I know a lot of guys are somewhat jaded when it comes to all of this, and they think that we're all in it to make a buck and we'll screw them if we want and can, and that's absolutely not the case, guys. I mean, when I make a flight talk video and I'm passionate about the product, I think you can see that. Yeah. You can tell that I'm not just giving you a line. And I think same thing with you, Ryan, and other influencers that are out there. If it's not on your channel, it's not good. That's the one thing to always remember. When I grew up and I read these print magazines, RCM and Model Airplane News and even Model Aviation and Flying Models in particular, these magazines would either not review the product because it was bad, or if they did, they told you it was bad. Yeah. But I think a lot of people believe we only say good things all the time, and that's not true. Now, I will say this. Not every one of our products is perfect. Not every one of our products is perfect for every pilot. That's the other important thing. Yes, we're going to have defects sometimes, design flaws sometimes, which we correct. But sometimes people blame the product, and it wasn't the product's fault. And so then they reflect poorly on us. They say, oh, you guys sold me something that doesn't work. This plane doesn't fly for crap. And that's not true. When I fly an airplane in a flight talk video, some guys have said, oh, that's a hand-picked custom sample. No, literally most of the airplanes I fly in the flight talk video were pulled from the first shipment, built right before that, and I flew it for the first time that day. Sometimes I've flown it a couple times before that, but you're seeing a legit airplane.
Listen, so if you're trying to do a rolling loop in a E-flite Havoc and you get too slow and you put it in at the end of that attempt, it's completely the plane's fault. It's never the pilot's fault. The wind made me do it. It's the electronics. Is
that personal experience, Ryan?
I heard about a guy that gave one a dirt nap really epically the other day. Jason, I could do a week's worth of shows with you. We're gonna pump the brakes and do a giveaway like right now. Yes. Does that sound okay?
Oh yeah.
Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Lori, can you dial in the screen? I've got a tremendous lag on my end. Let's put up the contest generator deal. Okay. It's up. All right. So I can't see it. I want to be able to see it, y'all. So we can gauge the reaction. Why don't I see it, Lori? I see you, I see Jason, and I see Cody. Maybe I'm on the wrong Skype. I mean, I've got so much stuff going on here. I can't figure it out. Okay, they can.
So what are we giving away first, Ryan?
We're going to give away. Oh, there. I see it. Okay, cool. We're going to give away first the. Let's give away a shirt first. We're going to make them wait a little bit. We're going to give away. Nah, you know what? Forget it. They've waited this long. Let's go for the Ultra Micro Citation Longitude first.
You mean this one, right?
Yes, that one.
So somebody in the chat is going to win one of these awesome airplanes?
That's right. Now, you need to be in it to win it. You've got 5 minutes to answer. And the way we're going to know that you are in the room after your name is drawn is you're going to answer. And only you. Now, a bunch of people are going to be smart, Alex, and try to put emojis and stuff in the chat, but you're going to make me mad, and I might kick you out for life. What I want to happen is 5 fire emojis, and if you don't have fire emojis, apparently they're hard to get a hold of. Then I want you to answer with 5 smiley faces. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and draw right now. And as soon as the name pops up, she's going to roll the clock. You have 5 minutes to answer, and then you are going to send me an email, info@pilotryanmedia.com, with your shipping details. I'm going to figure out where you're at, and that's going to tell me how to proceed, because we may give away more than just 2 of these, okay? Or 1. So, Lori, let her rip.
Good luck, everybody. No fire emojis in the chat, guys. Let's wait and see who wins.
Come on now. I can't see it.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Because okay. What he said.
Start the counter. Let's see if he's in the chat.
Yep, start that counter, man. The minute that name pops up. Okay, yeah, I see. See, I'm seeing a lag, which is just awful.
There's a lot of fire emojis. This is how we're gonna see who wins. If you could not put a fire emoji unless you're the winner, that would be hugely helpful.
Yes. We're talking. Again, it's the I don't see your share screen, Lori, without. So we got the time rolling, and I have not seen this guy all night, but of course I have not been looking. You guys with the emojis, please don't do it. Honestly, I'm going to have one of my senior advisors start kicking out everybody who's dropping emojis that did not win.
So while we're waiting, guys,
yes,
Jason, why don't you tell these guys what this airplane is all about? How awesome this is, how it's our most powerful UMX model to date.
Yeah, so this originally started with the power system from the A10, which was based on our 28 millimeter fans with the 2S compatible motors. And, you know, it worked pretty good. We tweaked the size. I know, by the way, Matt Andrin worked a lot on this in particular, along with some support from David Payne. And those guys tweaked the overall planform size and shape a little bit. And then after a little bit of development, they're like, you know, if it had more power, it would be more fun. And so they ended up going and working with the factory to come up with these 30 millimeter fans. And it doesn't sound like a big difference in diameter. Of course, it's really not. It's 2 millimeters. But that allowed us to then put a lot more energy through the fan with a 3S battery. When you go from a 2S to a 3S, it doesn't sound like a big change, but it's a huge change in power output. And so we needed the bigger fans to be able to handle that. And now we have unbelievable performance, way more performance than this airplane probably needs, of course. And you don't have to use it. Some guys will probably throttle back and fly it around at like half throttle all the time. In fact, you can even use a 2S battery if you want, but we intended to make it a 3S compatible airplane out of the box. A real quick note on that, you can use 2S batteries. It does have auto detect in the ESC, so it'll set the LVC for 2S or 3S depending on what you plug in. On a 2S battery like what you had in our A10 or the UMX Aero Commander 2S 450 to 800, you'll get good performance, but it's not going to have crazy vertical like it does on 3S. So you put a 3S battery in there, anywhere from, you could use as low as say a 600 up to maybe 1,000 milliamp battery, and the sweet spot kind of being an 800, then the performance is phenomenal. And one thing really quick that we have found is it does pull around 10 to 12 amps at full throttle, depending on the battery you're using and how cold it is and so on and so forth. So you got to make sure you use a good battery. Not an old tired battery that you maybe left fully charged for months or years on end. You don't want to use very, very low performance, low quality, older, cheaper battery, so to speak. There's even variations within batteries that are, some newer ones maybe aren't as good as some older ones. But that said, one battery that we found that works really, really good that I wanted to point out, which I think we sent you some of these, Ryan. We came out with recently the Onyx line of LiPo batteries. Onyx is a brand that came over from the Habaco acquisition, and these Onyx batteries are really well priced. They're very competitively priced. They may not be the lightest and most powerful batteries in the world, but they're really good performers. And so the 3S 800 milliamp 30C battery that's intended for this airplane is only $12.99, $13, and it works phenomenal. The guys just pulled a bunch out of stock and we're flying them.
I can't wait to try those. Tell us retail again on this aircraft.
Yeah, so the airplane is Bind and Fly Basic, and it's $169.99, so $170 US in the US.
That's it. Go to pilotryanmedia.com, click Horizon Hobby. So I want to listen. I know you guys are like having a hard time with the 5 minutes, and we're going to change it. Lori, now this one we're going to let run down for the 5. That's fine. Can you make the next one 2 minutes? Okay, cool. So when this 30 seconds is up, we're going to draw again, and we're only rolling for 2 minutes this time, guys. A lot of you aren't very well behaved, and my moderators have taken care of you. So yeah, I got the Onyx batteries, and I cannot wait to try them. Actually, I'm really excited about it. It's a really neat plane, and one of my guys in the community wanted me to ask you if the Ultramicro A10 was ever going to see an upgrade to this power system.
I mean, it
probably
seems
not
natural. It
seems
natural. So I will say, after flying this as much as we have and loving the heck out of it, and then all of us loving that A10, I don't know, maybe an A10 with this power system and a beefed up nose and safe select, it might be a cool product.
I'm probably 30 seconds behind, right?
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous. You tell me somehow in the Skype window something that the time's up, so I'm not like 30 seconds behind. Let's roll again, y'all. Let's roll again. Let's get a winner here. Winner, chicken dinner. Okay, we're going to get it down to 2 minutes. While I've got time, Lori, whenever you're ready, you give me a signal, okay? Dennis Farley, my moderators, I appreciate you. Thanks so much. So what was the first RC plane you flew, Cody?
Oh, man. First, I got to tell you, man, it's got to be that Firebird Commander.
Okay.
I didn't have that luxury experience with whatever control line is like Jason had. I didn't get that experience. No, I'm just kidding. I know what control line is. But I didn't start there. I got to start in electric, and my first airplane was the Firebird Commander, man. It was an awesome product.
Nice. All right, let's draw again, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, let's do it. We've got a record show tonight. Yeah, don't do emojis unless you won, guys. All right, so is it happening? Okay. Start the clock right away.
Yeah, it'll sure make our life a little easier for sure.
Jerry Wilfong?
Jerry Wilfong.
That's a name I recognize. Are you up in here, Jerry? You got to be in it to win it, y'all. What else you going to do? You're supposed to be home, You're supposed to be home. See, that's funny because I see this guy's name all the time, but I'm not sure he's in here today.
Gotta be in. We could be here for a long time, and we'll do it. We'll spend the time.
That's right. Somebody knows Jerry. Get a hold of him. This is for the citation longitude. All
Jerry
right.
Wilfong,
there he is. Hey, there he is. David Attenberg. Nice try. Jerry Wilfong, send me an email. Yep, I see it. He won. Congratulations, Jerry Wilfong. You have won the citation longitude. I want you to send me an email, info@pilotryanmedia.com, with your shipping details immediately, if you can. Congratulations to Jerry on that one.
Congrats, buddy. You're going to love that airplane, man, once you start shipping. It's an awesome product. Very powerful, very scale. You'll love it.
Jerry, in the chat, tell me where you live. What state are you in? Just curious. Tell me with the 5 emojis, if you would, please. Yeah, I'm not. It's
cool.
For me. It's a mess over here. But that's okay. You're doing a great job. You're doing Aussie RC Playground. What's up? Good to see you. Hey, you guys. I know some of you know that I've been getting into Surface a little bit. Aussie RC Playground, if you're into Surface as well, is a great resource. You want to see the guy bash it, unbox it, review it, and really tell you what's up. The guy won't hold back. You'll get the truth from him. Check him out.
He's in South Dakota.
Good to see South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. South Dakota.
Awesome.
All right. Listen, let's roll again for let's go for item of choice from the merch store that's underneath my videos. Let's roll. Are you ready? Whenever you're ready, let's do it. All right. Let's do it. And then we're going to continue on talking about the citation for a minute. Ooh, look at this. E-flite Ultra Micro Turbo Timber. Do you like turbos?
Oh, yeah.
Do you like timbers? Do you like E-flite Ultra Micro Turbo Timbers? Wow, you already got a winner.
Speed.
Sweet action. Where have I been all my life? Spin it. All right, cool. Is it all right? You got the time? Time's rolling.
Apparel.
Hey, dude, I'm afraid I'll end up dipping all over the place. KC Speed, never seen him before. Is he in here tonight? Don't think so. Don't think so. All right. Yeah, seriously, I'm not going to click around because I'm afraid I'll lose something. Well, but then I get no comments at all. Then I don't see them. You know what I mean?
You can pop out the comments and then pull it over on top of the Skype. That's how I'm doing it. It's a lot of information on one screen, though.
But I have Skype. I'm seeing Lori, Cody, and you, Jason. Nope.
Dual monitors for the win.
Oh, yeah, Cody.
Jason gives me crap about my gaming headphones, but I got a full streaming gaming setup at my home here, and my screens look flawless right now. I have good stuff going on both. It's great.
Man, that's awesome.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, wait, there it is. Nope, that's not it either.
I think a lot of people are here for this one. People want the A10. It's got a lot of hits right now.
The A10?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Well, after this guy doesn't show up, we're going to go for one more draw on the shirt. Is he in? Man, this ain't me, bro. This ain't me. No, Bobby's my boy for sure, but technology's not me. Time's up. Draw another one. Time's up. Draw another one. Chat's on fire. Everything's on fire, and I'm 10 minutes behind. What's up? All right. Tell me when there's a winner. Jason, what was the first plane you flew? You told us, but tell me again.
I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure I flew one of my grandfather's airplanes with his help on the buddy box many, many years before I got my own. But that first airplane was a Royal 40S.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a 40 size trainer, shoulder wing, semi-symmetrical. My dad did kill that airplane. Unfortunately, he got inverted. The instructor wasn't paying attention. And so my dad was like, okay, I think I'll just pull up. So
that
obviously
didn't end well. Yeah.
He very, very quickly learned the lesson of don't pull up when you're inverted. And, my grandfather, an incredible modeler, a pretty darn good pilot as well. One of the things he taught me when I was learning to fly inverted was he said, put your thumb, instead of on top of the stick, put it behind the stick. when you're inverted, you'll never then accidentally pull up because now your thumb's behind the stick.
Oh, right.
So he would do this. I would watch him do that. And I did it a little bit in the earlier part of my kind of learning aerobatics, but then later on, I ended up just going back to the pinch method. And I know push before pull whenever you're inverted is always the safer bet. So
right.
Yeah, my dad did kill that airplane. And then we actually bought, right after he killed that one, we bought something called a U.S. Air Corps Trainer 40. And for those that don't know these airplanes, they were made out of that it's kind of like cardboard but plastic. I can't remember what they call this stuff. So it's like I can't remember. Some guys may know what it's called. And so you would fold this thing up, and you literally built it with like contact cement and 3M spray adhesive. And this airplane was the size of a regular 40 size trainer, but it weighed like 15 pounds. I don't know what it weighed. But all I know is it had this cool power cartridge where you put the engine into this tray, and on that tray was the fuel tank, the throttle servo, the elevator servo, the rudder servo, your receiver battery, and your switch. And you could slide this tray into that plane, and when you were done flying it, you could slide it out and put it in another one of their airplanes. It was a really clever idea, and that totally sold us on it. The problem was it did actually say on the box, requires at least a ball bearing 40, Schnurley ported ball bearing 40 engine to fly. And my dad and I, we just have this OS40FP, which is like the most gutless 40 size engine you can have. Very reliable. But, we got a winner?
We got a winner, but he's not here. You guys keep drawing.
Here?
Yep, keep drawing till you get one. You said something earlier about RC groups, and I've said something about, I feel like with the internet, forums and social. Who is it?
Love RC.
Okay. It's like the accelerated learning program, right? So you can, when I was getting into flying models, I didn't know anybody who did it. So you're buying stuff, you're looking online, and you start, you're breaking parts, right? You're breaking things, you're crashing, especially if you're learning, especially if you're buying the Guan Li P47, 90% pre-assembled, perfect for beginner. It's not. From like nitro planes, right? 27 megahertz. Somebody opens the garage door, tries to cook some popcorn, you're glitching. It's just bad news. So these were my first planes, and I was crashing and very persistent. But completely crazy. Completely crazy.
It's come a long way. That the hobby. One thing that I still, though, think is very important about our hobby, and I know it's not practical for a lot of people because they may live in a place that they don't have people around that do it as well. But I used to always tell people, especially in the early years of RC groups, that the best way to learn is you've got to learn it from someone, not just to become a better pilot, but even how you set up an airplane, how you properly charge a battery. Now, we're fortunate in the world today. We have YouTube and we can watch a video on our phone while we're standing there with our product and do it. But it still is no replacement for going and interacting with a person that knows, whether it's at a flying field or a flying event. Even if you got to drive 3, 4, 5 hours, I'm telling you the experience, what you'll learn from that, you'll never forget it. And that's really what made our hobby great. And I'd love for our hobby to get back to that more. And it's hard. Everybody's busy. I think people actually have less time for the hobby now than they've ever had before, which is a part of why people do buy so many bind and fly airplanes, and they like foamies and not having to worry about putting it together and learning how to be a modeler per se. But unfortunately, with that comes kind of a lack of experience in setting up an airplane. That's one thing that even Cody, he knows. He brought the A10 out for us to fly for that flight talk video, and I'm like, hey man, did you center the surface? He's like, you don't have to center the surface.
Absolutely. Totally centered, ready to go, rock solid.
Barrier to entry. It's so much easier to get over that barrier to entry now, and I kind of forgot because there's a lot going on. But when I was breaking things, crashing, being able to go online and jump into a community of folks that could help you, because otherwise you really had nothing. You really had nothing because the neighbor's not flying the P-38 from EMI. No, you know what I mean. There's nobody around that can help you. So you go online, you find out information, you find out upgrades, substitutes, ways to fix this stuff is really cool. Loves RC, you won. Get with me. Choice is yours on merch from the store. Right, Boozers? All right. I'm glad it's him, too, because I think his name's Ron Upton. He's been with me for a long time. Cool.
Awesome.
Good to
Very
see
cool,
you,
very
man.
cool, very
Awesome. Get with me on that. So let's just keep it rolling on giving away some things here because it's like kind of some. It's fun, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
We've got more people in here than I think we've ever had. Somebody tell me the number. So I think we have so do we, how much? Oh my gosh.
There's quite a few.
Give it a thumbs up since there's a gazillion of you in here, would you? And hopefully you'll subscribe and check out the channel. That'd be great. So, did you guys decide to throw E-flite Ultra Micro Turbo Timber into the mix?
We did at the last minute, guys. We kind of wanted to do a special giveaway for you guys.
Yeah, let's do that. Lori, go ahead and let it rip. Talk to us about this E-flite Ultra Micro Turbo Timber a little bit.
I guess I would say this is literally the best ultra micro airplane there is, period, hands down. And the citation is awesome as an ultra micro, of course. But when you talk about an all-around airplane, this is it. You can fly this in smaller spaces, tighter places than your typical airplane because it's got STOL capability. It's got these really big wheels so you can actually take off and land in regular grass, like in your front yard and your backyard. Obviously, you have flaps, you have lights, so it's full house. But my favorite aspect of it is that not only can you fly it around slow and easy and STOL and all of those great things, but on top of that, now with the Turbo Timber, we got more power than the original UMX Timber. You can hover on the prop and pull vertical. You can do crazy aerobatics, snaps, inverted spins, knife edge. This airplane is so crazy aerobatic that I don't think a lot of people even try because they just assume it can't. But every time I fly it, I blow the pants off of it. My goal is to try and break it. It will not break.
That's awesome. You know what? We were flying today at a different location. Joe Pellegrino, I got your number. He's here too.
Yep, he just posted.
He's here. He's the winner of the E-flite Ultra Micro Turbo Timber. Pellegrino, tell us where you live and send me an email, info@pilotRyanMedia.com if you would, and we'll get that information to the wonderful people at Horizon. But so he's flying a limbo between this barbed wire fence. I see you, Joe, but the barbed wire fence with you can't escape, like barbed wire at the top of the regular fence, and then like there's like regular high tension wires and electric power and stuff. So he's flying the limbo. He was actually flying underneath me launching trucks a little bit today with that E-flite Ultra Micro Turbo Timber, and he hit the wire. He hit the wire, knocked the rudder off, went over to his truck for a minute, and before I knew it, he was up again. He was up. I mean, that thing is brutal, and if you've got some Scotch tape, maybe some CA with you, you can be up and running on the same pack. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, some good Scotch tape and foam safe CA. Of course, these are EPS. The ultra micro models typically are because it's lighter and that keeps the performance better. But because they're relatively light, even though they're EPS, they're pretty tough. So one thing I wanted to show, a couple of guys have asked about this, is how does the citation compare to the Turbo Timber in size? One thing is the wingspans are not much different, and so we still consider them very much the same class of model. And you guys can see the length is a little bit different, but they're both ultra micro models. Now I know some guys have said, hey, your ultra micro models keep getting bigger and bigger and heavier and heavier. And yeah, that's true to some degree. Of course, everybody wants more power nowadays. So everybody wants brushless. They want a minimum 2S, now preferably some. So, but that said, we may come out with some smaller and lighter ultra micros again that are a little bit more indoor friendly in particular, because I do think that some guys are interested in getting back to that. Indoor flying was a huge part of our hobby for, many years in the early to mid 2000s, going into the late 2000s, before 2010. And I'd love for us to get back to that. And you need lighter 1S airplanes in particular, maybe 1S brushless. To fly in those environments. So
I gotta say, man, I think the Ultrix hits every nail on the head for me with indoor flying, Jason. The Ultrix is awesome.
Yes. Great airplane. Actually, I don't think a lot of guys have tried that thing. You gotta try it.
I haven't yet.
It's a blast.
It is awesome.
I remember the earlier micros pre AS3X, and they were kind of you had to know what you were doing a little bit.
Yeah, you did.
You had
You
to
did.
load
They
the
were
nose
worth the
up
fly.
some. It was new. I mean, it was completely new tech and uh, really cool. I was really glad to see the micros get bigger. Um, when I think one of the first bigger ultra micros was the P47, I was really glad to see like that fuller airfoil rather than an undercamber and Depron and such,
Mm-hmm.
because they flew better, but they were still so small. It was a great benefit to have AS3X on board, because I think without it you'd have had trouble. And then
Mm-hmm.
and really some of those early ones, had they had AS3X, I think they'd have been better received. But I mean, I remember the Corsair being kind of a handful unless you loaded up the nose. And I think even the Stearman might have had AS3X, did it?
It does.
But you
Yeah.
still had to load
Yeah.
the nose up. Like I'd like stick a penny on there or something. All right,
Yeah, I
guys.
think ultra micros are an interesting animal because if they get too big and too heavy, then they're not ultra micro class anymore. And if they're too light and too small, then you really can't enjoy them outside. Even a little bit of wind, everybody, there's always a little bit of wind.
That hurt.
So,
You okay, Cody?
Yeah, I just got a cramp in my leg, but it's good.
Oh man, I tell you what, these guys have seen me get cramped so bad that I had to go get a banana. Like I'm just like, oh, like especially we're like out flying all day, like nothing to drink, and then get in here and sit down and do the show. It's like all of a sudden it'll creep up on me.
Yes. Kick my dog.
Oh my
here.
goodness. You guys who are new to the channel, thanks for sticking with us. This is awesome. It's a little crazy to me, but it's fantastic. Stick around. Man, and if you want to see these planes in action, of course, just go to the web and check it out. But we've done it. Anything we're talking about as far as current releases and what we're giving away today, right here at Pilot Ryan Media on YouTube, we have flown it. Usually a few times, showing you what it looks like fit and finish with an assembly or an unboxing, or sometimes both. We show you how to assemble these things, not because we think you need the help, but because we really think it's cool to show off what you get. And we want you to know what you get. They're not tricky to put together, but sometimes there is a little thing that could be helpful that you stumble across that may not be alluded to in the manual. So we'd like to let you see what you're going to get. And it's really, I'm a lot of times so proud of the product, even though, I mean, I have no hand in making it. It's just always working with new products and great companies keeps you in the loop with innovation, and being able to show that off and do that here at this channel is one of the things that we really, really enjoy. So I want to thank Horizon again for being here. We're not wrapping it up. I just want to not forget.
hey,
I know.
got an idea. I don't know
Let's
if this
do
is
it.
too crazy, but we're at 462 at the moment. I would say if we could get to 500 viewers, if you guys tell your friends to get on here and watch this show, we can give something else away.
Holy moly. And we still got to do an A10, and I'll do another shirt and stuff. That's crazy. Guys, share this out. I think what we're going to do, I want you guys, we got a lot of youngsters and a lot of new YouTube channels. You guys who are in the room, you see a lot of blue wrenches and stuff. A lot of these guys have channels. I urge you to check them out. We got some guys, man. Farmer Man, he's loving all these new E-flite products. He told me today, he's like, Ryan, thanks for putting that up. I'm not sure if I would have got that A10 if it wasn't for you. And he did his maiden today. So, I mean, you got guys who are giving you the truth. You want to see this stuff in action. You think we're snake oil salesmen or like we're too slick, then there's a lot of guys who aren't, who are new to it. They've got channels and they want you to watch their videos. Farmer Man put up a maiden today on the A10. I urge you to check that out. A lot of these guys have channels. Support them as well, and you know what to do if you like what you see over there, and always comment and give it a thumbs up if you're cool, and give it a thumbs down if you're not. All that good stuff. So while we're waiting on 500, let's give away another shirt. We'll wait till there's 500 to do this A10. And we're going to do the A10. I mean, if for whatever reason, if we don't hit 5, we're still going to give away the A10. All right. We're not pulling. We're not.
Yeah. If we get to 5 though, we'll give you something that's very 500-esque.
We'll give it. We'll give away. Do you hear that, guys? I tell you what, we have the craziest giveaways here. The last one we did was very in-house. I had real rigid stipulations where you had to come into the FAA, you had to send me the receipt confirmation, and out of all the people that watched the channel, there were only 90 of you that actually entered that one. This one, it's like over 700 people are in this one. It's nuts. So all you new folks, welcome. And you'll see a lot of these blue wrenches. These names are real tight in the community, and you'll see them at streams all week long. It's really, really, really something neat. So, Lori, can you do another roll the number for let's do another merch while we're waiting on 500 folks to come up in here. Share it out on Facebook.
So Ryan, as I had mentioned before, we have a lot of people from the Horizon Hobby channel in here watching the show, and some of these people might not know who you are, Ryan. So if you don't mind, could you just give us how you started and where you're at right now, if you don't mind?
How long you got?
And what was your first airplane? I want to know
what was your first airplane?
Yeah, okay.
Pilot Ryan.
That's cool. All right, and then Lori, you'll have to let me know when somebody gets okay. It's rolling right now. Walrus Aviation. I know that guy. He won something last time. All right, we'll keep an eye on the 2 minutes, and if you don't see him, roll again, okay? Sounds good. So I grew up in the backseat of a T6. My grandparents raised me. My grandfather flew for a living. He was the first guy to fly the awesome. Send me your info, brother man. So he was the first guy to fly the Cheyenne 4 is what they called it at the time. Like worked with the designers and such, and was the pilot on that first twin engine turboprop. So he flew corporate, not commercial. So he flew for big money guys. And so I grew up around aviation. And so he flew for a living, my grandparents, my grandfather, and he flew for fun. So we did Oshkosh my whole, just like you kind of, Jason, in a way where aviation is just in there. Mm-hmm. It's in your DNA. There's you don't know anything different. So I grew up at Oshkosh, being the pilot's kid. The volunteers at Oshkosh would try to holler at me because I was on the T6. I was like, this is family, man. I'm not getting off this. This is ours, So, right. So that's kind of what really got that aviation bug in there. And then many years go by. I did rock and roll. I've done so many things. Had a million jobs. But that's one of my questions: is when are you guys going to offer me a job too? I forgot to ask that. and then I put LOL in case it got awkward. So
hey man, you keep going long enough, you might make YouTube a job, man. You're doing really well.
Man, let's keep it up. So many years, didn't think about it. It's one of those things where you kind of do in a way take it for granted, but then you get older. For me, that's what happened. I got older. Any of you guys get older as time goes? It's kind of weird. So my dad, and last time I had looked at models at this point, the last time I had seen, it was a box of sticks, a roll of covering. You had to be a mechanic. And I wanted it now. I wanted to open the box and play. So I wasn't interested. And the cost also put me off. And then not being sure if it would work was another thing. And so it's 2008, 2009. My dad just comes back to my grandparents' son. He just comes back to town. He had been living in Florida. He'd been all over the place. We kind of reconnect. We buy some fixer-uppers just a couple doors away from each other, downtown Muncie, which is where the Academy of Model Aeronautics is. Oh, yeah. And he bought a Wing Dragon from Arctech.
I have one of those.
Pusher prop, yellow thing, nickel metal battery. You know the deal. Plastic pylon, had a boom on it, Depron deli tray tail. The whole thing. And I'm like, what is that? I mean, it's the ugliest thing I'd ever seen, because I'm a warbird guy, was my first love in aviation, right? Warbird guy. And he's like, what is that? And it's like an electric RC. And I was like, how much was that? And he's like, he told me. I'm like, you're kidding me. Where'd you get it? And I started looking right away. And I bought that Quan Lee P-47.
Oh.
Worst first plane ever, right?
You should have bought the Wing Dragon. It's pretty darn good.
Well, every time we would go fly, I thought it was ridiculous that the battery went up front. I thought it ought to be under the pilot because that's where the weight would be. I'm an idiot. And then it's like one servo operates a guitar string for the ailerons. They never went back to neutral. I didn't know a thing about it. The directions were complete garbage. Plus, the radio system is garbage. So, and we're flying at soccer field, so no landing gear, which were only coat hangers anyway.
Oh, goodness.
So I would hand launch it, wreck it immediately, every time, and kept fixing it. I didn't know what CA was. I would take it home, fix it with Elmer's glue and straight pins. It looked like a science fair project. But my dad always had his Wing Dragon there. We went together. So I would kill my thing and then get some stick time on the Wing Dragon. Every time I was getting stick time on the Wing Dragon, I ignored the good advice, starting on a high wing trainer, something like the Wing Dragon, or at the time, the GWS Slow Stick was recommended a lot.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
also the Hobby Zone LP, Cub, right?
Oh, yeah. Super Cub LP, yeah.
Yeah, long playing. So came with the 10.8 prop if you were going to do off water or something. I don't remember.
Right,
but
with floats, yeah.
Yeah. So I had a few of those P47s, and I was almost mad because people kept buying me one. I was like, I want something different. So I kind of parked the P47, and I got a slow stick. I got some GWS kits and started putting them together. You would buy the no power system slope kits, and then you would put your own you'd source your own motors. And there wasn't a whole lot of information on what to get. So I would get maybe the right size motor, but wrong KV. So I had the fastest 3S GWS T6 and P40 there was for two flights till I let the smoke out. You know what I mean?
That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about.
So, it's a 10.6, but it should have had an 8.6, problem. So that's really kind of the beginning. And I got it bad. I didn't have any kids yet. I was carrying mail. I think I was spending a lot of money on planes, and I was probably a year into it. And I'll wrap up this about me in a minute, but I was probably a year and a half into it, and being at the AMA, I had the opportunity to talk to somebody I hadn't seen for a while, and I was like, thank you, Rhonda. And I was like, so what have you been up to? And she's like, well, I've been doing page layout and graphic design for Park Pilot. I was like, oh, I'd like to do a review. I was checking out magazines and stuff. I was reading magazines. I was buying magazines. I was reading reviews, learning a lot, soaking it up, because I got bit bad by the bug. And I go, I'd like to do that. And, I'm sure she thought that's cute. A lot of people would like to do things, but they just don't act on it. Well, I kept bugging her. I was like, give me the contact to your editor. I'll write a sample review of something I already have. Like, I want to do it. You know what I mean? And so I stayed after it, and I started writing articles for Park Pilot probably a year and a half after beginning flying at all. And I self-funded a few of my own projects first. And I was sourcing planes that he didn't know existed. You guys remember the Wind Rider Dauntless?
Oh, yeah.
That was like a dope 40. I thought it was huge. It was a 43-inch Dauntless. Retracts, but it took a servo to operate them. You know what I mean? And Park Pilot required at that time a 2-pound. They were really sticklers about the 2-pound limit.
Yeah.
And then they started doing a exceeds Park Pilot program guidelines thing. Well, so they had two versions of that plane, the EPO and the EPS. I was like, well, send me the EPS because it's lighter. And I really remember thinking somebody's going to come and weigh my plane and check it out.
$4.99.
So I was using hardly any glue at all. I might have changed the tires to something lighter than they sent me. I don't know what I thought was going to happen. But that was my first article. It was a self-funded Wind Rider Dauntless that self-funded, but solicited, I guess. So I learned about how to talk to the Chinese a little bit early on with correspondence with, his name was Ming Lu. Still is Ming Lu, I'm sure. Yeah. So that's kind of where it comes from. You know what I mean? That's where it started. And then we just went nuts, and I moved away to South Bend, and I met Captain Mike, and he was new to the field. I'm like one of the only guys flying electrics at the field. Captain Mike shows up. He's got a big StarMax P-47 with him. He asks if he can try flying here, thinks about joining the club. And I was like, well, I guess, but you got to let me fly that. I was just kidding, but he let me fly it. We became quick friends, and he asked me if, we should start a YouTube channel or whatever. And I was like, that's funny, because me and my wife tried to start one in Muncie, but she was just awful. My wife would, after 2 minutes, she'd start snapping, and she'd want me to, okay. And she would want me to land like right away. It was like, I love her, but she was just the worst for video and planes. And then also kind of Flight Test has come out at the same time. They've got a load of production quality. They've got a staff. Even at their beginning, they had like a crew. And I'm like, here's me and my wife who doesn't want to be filming. I gave up YouTube until I moved to South Bend and met Mike. And then we did our own channel, which is this one. Used to be called RC Air Training Command for like 9 months. And then we got basically recruited, built brand elsewhere for 5 years. And here we are right now, chilling with the Kings.
That's awesome, dude. That is awesome.
I would like to talk about the Wing Dragon in a few minutes because I have an interesting story about that one. But we hit 500, so we should definitely give away our bonus item.
Let's do that. Let's do the bonus item and then Wing Dragon.
Yes. We were thinking that with 500 people, we should give away a 500-watt charger. So for those that are familiar, and maybe some aren't, we have a Spectrum S1500. The S is smart, the 1 is single port, and the 500 stands for 500 watts. So this charger is capable of charging a 6S battery at 20 amps. So you can charge your 5000s in 15 minutes. So great charger, amazing charger. So we're going to give one of those away now to a random winner. So again, the S1500 500-watt charger. It's a $120 charger. It's a great charger. I love it. I'm going to buy a couple more of them because I love being able to hammer on those 6S 5000s and get them done in 20 minutes.
It's nice. I mean, I even appreciate being able to go 8 amps on the stuff I have, right? I think the 1200 and the 1500. So, all right, Lori, you heard it. We're doing a 500-watt charger. Let it roll. Let's do this. Rollin. We got we've exceeded 500 guys. It's coming in like crazy. Thank you for the super chats, ladies and gentlemen. That's fantastic.
So, Jason, for the guys that don't know what smart is, do you want to go in a little bit about what it is and how it's revolutionizing the industry?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I want to point out that some guys feel like, this smart is like forcing something on people that they don't want or they don't need. And yeah, if you're an experienced user of LiPo batteries and chargers, you may not need to worry about smart. But even that said, the one thing that I love most about smart batteries in particular is that they self-discharge to storage voltage. So you can set it from 1 hour to 240 hours. And then if you go flying on Friday night, you charge all your batteries. You don't use it Saturday, don't use it Sunday. I set mine to 48 hours. And then by Sunday night, they're already self-discharging to storage voltage. So I don't got to run home and discharge my battery down. The beauty of a smart charger with a smart battery, plug in the battery and it knows everything about how many cells, it knows the capacity, it knows how many cycles are on the battery. And you can pre-program it so it'll charge automatically at 1C, 1.5, 2, whatever you want. I have a lot of mine set up all till 2C, so I plug it in, it immediately goes to the 2C current, I hit start, and I walk away. So that's a beauty of it. The one nice thing, though, that a lot of people probably still don't realize is you can use a regular battery with a smart charger, and you can use a regular charger with a smart battery. You do not have to have a smart charger and a smart battery to make the two work together. But when you do, it's really, really easy to use them together. It's push and go. And then on top of that, we now have our smart ESCs and our next generation's kind of smart Spectrum receivers. So for example, the P-51D Mustang 1.5 meter that we just came out with, that airplane has the full smart package. And so when you use a smart battery on your Spectrum transmitter that has the latest firmware, you will see the amps, the voltage of the battery, the temperature of the battery, if you're using a smart battery. It's the individual cell voltages. It's pretty impressive. And so it just makes for a more connected experience, also an easier experience. So all of our trainers, ready to fly trainers, are going to start coming with the smart batteries out of the box because it's kind of a scary thing to learn about lipos. And a lot of people will accidentally make the mistake of going and buying a multi-chemistry charger and charge a lipo on nickel metal hydride or so on and so forth. And for what it's worth, all of our smart chargers, the higher end ones, are all multi-chemistry, of course. But when you plug in a smart lipo, it knows it's a lipo, and it will not charge it any other way. So, again, there's an extra safety aspect. There's an extra information aspect, because you can see how many cycles you got on your battery, the hottest your battery's ever gotten. So all of these kind of information points that you wouldn't have had before. And if you plug it in your airplane and you've got a smart transmitter or smart cable ESC receiver, and then your transmitter is set up for that, it's unbelievable the amount of information we can get now without having to have a bunch of extra, plug-in GPS box and plug-in amp current box and all these other things. Now it's just all built in. It's great.
I learned something today that when you are using the smart, and I've been using the balance. You don't have to use, if you got the smart chargers and the smart batteries, that extra wire does the balancing for you. I've been plugging in my balance leads just like I'm used to, but you really don't need to.
You don't have to. You don't have to. We do recommend you do, because it is an extra level of safety. But that smart chip that's in there, it not only will do the self-discharge to whatever time frame you set it to, it will also self-balance. So yes, if you just plug in the main power connector, it will balance the battery. It will show you the individual cell data, because it's all coming out of that smart chip. So it's pretty darn cool. We don't usually tout that a lot, because we do want people to still plug in the balance connector just for that extra level of safety. But yeah, you don't have to. And it's pretty impressive that it does it on its own.
While we're on the topic of smart, Ryan, I know we talked about this before we went live. I want to give a huge shout out to Jeff Custom RC. I started interacting in this community some months back when I started working with Ryan, and I just want to say that I pitched an idea to Jeff. Jeff works a lot of custom stuff in his own time. He doesn't really do it as a business, and I reached out to Jeff, and he was totally interested in making a smart charger for me, essentially. And it's a really cool concept. Maybe perhaps Ryan or the Boozers could show a video of what he's done so far. It's a real short clip. But for any of you guys who are looking into some custom stuff, specifically maybe a custom charge case, or just maybe even some custom or some ideas on how to paint your airplanes, Jeff is a cool guy. He's been with Ryan from the beginning, and his workmanship on the case that he made for me has taken quite a few months, but it has turned out amazing. So I just wanted to give a public shout out to Jeff. Thank you. You guys did a wonderful job, and I hope we can show that video here shortly.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Or roll it and let that 2 minutes roll during this little trailer video that Jeff made. You guys, check out Jeff's Custom RC on YouTube. Yep, roll it, because he didn't show that guy. And then let's pull up Jeff if you can. His little trailer, and check out Jeff's Custom RC on YouTube to watch the full 20-minute explanation. I've talked to Jeff. There's so much that goes into this thing he built. It's next level cool, and the guy is super smart.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. I mean, when I sent him the stuff, I had no expectation, you guys. I had no expectation, and Jeff is just a very good gentleman. He's a very good guy, and he's blew me away. When you guys see this case, definitely check it out. He's 100% willing to work with you guys if you're interested in something like this, but it's definitely awesome. I don't even think Jason's seen it yet, so
it's next level.
I'm curious to see what Jason thinks about it too, because it's really cool.
It's next level, and I don't know if you've got it pulled up or not. I don't want to talk over it, but it's just 1 minute and 30, I think, on this little trailer. And I don't think this winner that you've got up here is in here, but we'll wait. Jeff, if you can drop your YouTube link in the chat, that'd be fine too. Here we go. It's coming, I believe. Fred Barron, good to see you.
So, I mean, is it okay to get the sound from the video, guys? Okay.
Don't think you're going to get this thing for 20 bucks. He's got a lot in it, guys. This is custom.
So, guys, I don't know what you think about that. If you want to see what the case full, this is like kind of like a little sneak peek trailer. I just watched it myself. He went above and beyond this case. Again, I just wanted to give him a shout out from a public standpoint. And again, he's willing to work with guys on this, and he spends a lot of time, puts a lot of effort into it. Just a really good, genuine guy for the RC industry. So definitely check out Jeff. He's a really good guy. Jason, what do you think about that? What do you think of the case?
Oh, it's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I think we should definitely talk to him about maybe some other options like the 200-watt chargers. 4 of those in a case would be awesome, or 2 of those S1500s in a case would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's Jeff. Good work. So cool, guys. And really, you want to see more about that case, you got to check it out at Jeff's Custom RC. He's got a video that's a little longer than the trailer that really digs deep into what he did to make it happen. And very, very cool. Next level. So much going on there electronically, the engineering to do it the way he's done it. And he also really thought about the end user with this.
Right.
If you have to replace components in that case, you can do it. You can get it done. And again, it's custom. So you get a hold of Jeff and you know what you want and talk about how you plan on using it. He can really custom tailor something for you.
Kind of
Guniac, yeah.
Well, kind of like I was mentioning earlier with, going from putting a face to the name, going from product support into marketing. That's kind of like this thing, with Jeff, and he's doing wonderful things for the hobby, doing really cool stuff. So I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you.
And another guy doing really cool stuff in the hobby is Guniac. He just won the Charger, right?
Oh, okay, very cool. Congrats, Guniac.
Yeah.
Congrats.
What a great
And he's
winner.
a big EDF jet guy, so he's going to love that charger to charge those 6S5000s.
Right.
He's making some afterburners that are just slick, and everybody knows them as fiery booties.
Yeah.
Guniac, you got to drop your link in here to where you want folks to go to check out your goods. Okay.
Congrats,
and then we'll
man.
need to get his info so we can ship that charger to him. But I think he's going to
definitely
really like that.
Yeah, Ryan, just give me all that stuff, man. We'll take care of it.
I will. Yeah, Guniac, I probably already got your number, but send it to me again, man. Hit me at info@pilotryanmedia.com. Awesome. So we are moving right along. We still have how many folks in here now?
489.
All right, they're waning. That's okay. Guys, do I make it brutal? Do I do another shirt or do I do an A10?
I think we should do the shirt and then do the A10. I think we keep people rolling in this chat. Why not?
All right. How many shirts have I given away so far? 2?
I think you've done 2. Yep.
Somebody's got to. Yeah, please do. Please do. Awesome. Somebody said something about thanks, Ramsey. You calling me Ramsey by my last name, man? That's cool. That's funny. It's that's what everybody used to call me. Hardly anybody called me Ryan until I got into this business, and then only girls I dated call me Ryan before that. All right. Shirt. Let's let it roll. Do it. Merchandise of choice from the Pilot Ryan Media Teespring store that you see underneath all the videos right here at this channel. Yep. You already got the name. Cool. After that, we're going to do A10. I don't recall seeing that name. It doesn't mean anything. And all you guys hanging in there, I tell you what, let me tell you, I put this video out at 11 at night and then woke up in the morning to, 400 entries.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
We were planning on, usually these giveaways go with like a wheel that holds 200 names. And we were going to do manual data entry into like 3 different wheels. And I was like, wait a minute, that is not going to work because one winner out of 200 and then what? You throw 199 names away? That's right. Going to be a lot of not happy. So we figured out the random generator thing, which is just where it's at. Papa Boozer, good to see you.
I do remember that phone call, Ryan. Ryan's like, yeah, we'll do the wheel and we'll put the 200 names in there. If it goes above that, we'll do 2 wheels. And the next morning he calls me and he's like, man, we're at 400 already. We're going to go a different route. And it was so funny how Ryan approached it.
It hit me like, oh, that's not going to be that won't work well. And I've done enough of these giveaways to know how brutal the folks can be in the room if you're screwing it up.
Right.
I went to Minnesota with Hobby Zone to do a launch. It was awesome. He flew me out. We did it. He wanted to make a big production about the giveaway, which I get. And so he like rented a wheel. And all I wanted to do was just cut up names and draw it out of a hat. That's really all I wanted to do. Pretty low key. And he had a wheel that was so out of balance. It landed like on the same number every time. And the chat was just beating me up. It's still like a running joke at this point. The wheel. So I just said, forget it. And I was like, Kathy, she's in the background helping run things like Lori is now. Print me off these names. We'll cut them up. We'll put them in a hat. We got to do something else because I'm getting just killed in the chat. So it's really, there's a lot of thought that goes involved on the back end to making sure these work very fairly as much as possible. So, all right, we're going to roll it again. This is for merch of your choice. Let's do it. If your name is picked.
Another 2-minute delay for the A10.
Hey, Wing Dragon.
Did you see it?
I did. Look at that.
My dad literally just took a picture of that for me, so I'm going to give him a shout out. Thank you, Dad, for going upstairs and getting that. And the reason I'm showing this is because this airplane, you guys can see I don't know if you can see it, there's a piece of Velcro right above the jackball head.
Yeah.
I used to fly this airplane FPV almost 20 years ago.
What?
Yeah, I used to literally take one of these TVs with a built-in VCR, and I would put a VHS in there, and I would record my flights, and I would have the transmitter on the plane with the camera, and then I would have the receiver on a ground station, elevated on a tripod. And I was flying FPV in the early 2000s with this Wing Dragon, and we still have it.
I said, it looks like a very scaled Jason Merkle pilot in the cockpit.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, if anybody is familiar with Jack in the Box, that's a Jack Ball antenna topper. He's a perfect pilot. I mean, look, he's got a yellow hat that matches and everything. Come on now.
Oh, of course, the airplane's yellow. If it's yellow, it makes it go fast.
Yellow it makes it sell better. So I don't know, Ryan, the one that you flew, was it this same model?
It was the exact same one, and my dad still has like 2 of them. He liked the wing so much, he was buying the wing to make other airplanes with.
Oh, so I get it. Yeah.
He wanted to speed up a slow stick, the GWS slow stick. So he was putting that wing on it and, all kinds of stuff, cutting ailerons into it. We learned about adverse yaw, on things like slow sticks and Wing Dragons, cutting in ailerons and such. So cool. Yeah, man, that brings back memories. A lot of times my dad's in the chat. He would die to see that Wing Dragon right now.
Oh, he didn't see it? Oh, bummer.
Yeah, he's not in.
Later.
Fred Barron, my gosh. I love you, man. Fred shows up to every chat during the week and is just a wonderful participant in these chats. Super chats are amazing, but he's just a hella good guy, and it's super generous. And thank you so much, George. I'm sorry, Fred. Thank you so much. There's so many of you wonderful guys in here that just do this on the solid for all of us in the community. And while we're talking about that, everything going okay, Lori? We're still trying to get this merch gone. All right, cool. So I'm going to run through the live streams from what I'd call kind of the hanger rack community right here. So we'll start with Monday. Monday is RC Air Marshal. He's in the room. You can check out his channel. I actually also linked his channel in the description box of this video because he's also helped me produce live streams where I've had interviews and giveaways in the past as well. So that's RC Air Marshal. And he's doing a really cool thing, guys, where we do virtual fly-in. So he hosts a real flight session Monday night at 8 Eastern time on Real Flight. It's called, you should drop in the name of it, what you call it, Air Marshal. It's a virtual fly-in. So RC Air Marshal, VFI. If you have Real Flight 9 or 8 or 7 or any of these, and you can get online and fly with guys, check us out on Monday. We did like an aerobatic competition. We flying in formation together like 20 T6s. Like, we're having a blast on Real Flight at RC Air Marshal show on Monday. And a lot of the names you see here are participating in that. Tuesday, we have Jeff's Custom RC and Raven Rock Machine and Aviation. They do what's called Flight Club. Really cool graphic design goes along with that. And what happens is they do a live stream. I believe it starts at 8 o'clock. And 1 week it'll be on Jeff's channel. The next week it'll be on Dustin's channel. So hit those guys up, tap the bell if you want to check that out. They co-host it together regardless of whose channel it's on, and it's really cool. On Wednesdays, we had Josh Weaver RC holding it down for the longest time. He has stepped away from the live stream game for a little while, and there's a new kid in town, Ethan RC. He might be in here as well. He's kind of taken that 8 o'clock spot, and then GB Linden at 9:30 wraps up the night. That's Wednesday. Check out GB Linden. You guys have seen him around, I'm sure. Thursday night, Hangar 51. From dusk till dawn, that man is on. It's the longest stream in the game. It's the longest stream in the game, man. So, cool, good guy. A lot of information and lots of opinions. Love them. Friday night, you never know what you're going to get. Dave's RC. Check him out. Dave's RC. He's not in here, and he's got no excuse. A lot of times if he's not around, he's bowling. Well, you need to be home, fool. So I don't know where he's at, but he's getting a shout out anyway. He's been a great supporter for many years. A lot of these guys have been with me from the beginning and previous gigs and such. Saturday night, some dude, I don't know who he is. He does a show like 9 Eastern time. I think he's like the original gangster. He's done about 90 of them. Oh, wait, it's me. Pilot Ryan Media, RC Pilots Lounge. Right here, 9 o'clock. You know it. You're here. Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, Mary Boozer RC does a show. There are producers right now. I have their channel linked in the description box as well. Check them out. They do a lot of great stuff on their stream. Obviously, they know what they're doing. That's why I'm using them to help me. Lori is a fantastic producer. They put together a really nice show. They'll show you how to weather planes and tanks and all kinds of stuff. And it's a family affair. So Wesley's hanging out with his dad. I think Wesley started flying at 10 years old as well. So check him out. Links in the description. Mary Boozer RC, thanks for producing tonight. And that's that's the rundown on, I mean, look, I was the first guy, and then we've all had such a great time that these guys have picked it up and carried that torch through every night of the week. And we're all on a gentleman's agreement. No one's had to say a thing. It's just the most respectable community. No one steps on each other's toes and really goes live on top of other guys. It's like the TV guide. I just ran through it. You got 7 days a week you can hang out and talk RC and whatever else. So has anybody in the room won a dang shirt?
Well, some people in the chat say that he's here. Yeah, Dadu 64 was timed out. Is that was the previous drawler, I believe. That Dadu 64. Yeah, it says Chuck G timed him out. So
okay. Hey, can you guys pull up that Wing Dragon again? Dad, you're gonna die. Check this out.
Oh, is he here? Yeah, hang on. I gotta figure it out. I don't know how I did what I did earlier, but I think I can figure it out.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna share screen. Share screen. I don't know. Who's laughing at me? Is that Cody? Don't laugh at me.
Dad, look at that.
That's your employee.
That's it. Check it out, Dad.
So I have a question. Did you guys fly with that white the 3-channel transmitter that had the slider? Or did you guys buy it later on when it had a black transmitter?
Dad, I think it was the black one. It was like way higher tech than my stuff because it was like 72 megahertz instead of 27.
So when they very first came out with this airplane, it came with a single stick radio, which had a slider for the throttle, and it was a white case. and it was 27 megahertz. And yeah, so we sold these at my hobby shop, and the only reason that that we kind of took off was because it was full 3-channel versus a lot of the Firebirds at the time were only 2-channel. And then when the Super Cub came out, it killed this. So we stopped selling them at the hobby shop. But man, in that couple of years span, we sold a ton of those. And that factory, Artec, I went to visit them many times. In fact, the very first airplane they made for us was for some may remember this, we had an F-16 Thunderbirds 64 millimeter EDF many years ago. In fact, my picture is on the box for that. And we actually, in fact, I could probably find it on our website here. I don't know if you guys are still seeing my screen.
Yeah,
I don't think
the chat says they can't see your screen.
We don't see it, unfortunately.
Oh, no, you don't see it?
Yeah, sorry.
Shoot. I broke it.
Jason,
Trying to share my screen.
We were the Wing Dragon. That's okay. We're not going to wreck the whole thing. So
I'll send them. Yeah, send them to your dad. Yeah.
So Dado, is Dado here?
Yeah.
Was he cussing?
No, he was in Tom. I think he was just spamming the chat. Yeah.
Well, he was spamming the chat with emojis because he won.
Right.
Oh no.
Yep, that's right. That's right. All right, winner, Dado, info@pilotryanmedia.com. Send me an email with your information. And what I do on these shirt winners is I'm not gonna buy the shirt, pick the size, pick the color, any of that stuff. It's merch of your choice, and I'm gonna send you the money for it. You're gonna tell me what it costs. I'm gonna send you the money for it. So easy peasy, you get your own that way. All right, that's it for the shirt. That was the shirt that broke 1,000 backs right there. That was like a big deal.
Hey, it gave us some time to talk.
It did. It did. So guys, are we doing the A10?
I don't know. We can.
We're gonna do the A10, and like 10 dudes won't be here. It's out of 500. That's crazy.
Do we want this one? Do we want this one to be 2 minutes as well, or do we want to add this one a little longer?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay.
If you're not here, too bad.
And I have an idea. One more crazy idea.
Let's do it.
Because I don't want to lose a bunch of guys after we give this A10 away. So I was thinking maybe we could give something away. When we decide to end this, however long we go, another 20 minutes, hour, 2 hours, whatever it might be, maybe we give away the last people standing prize, a special prize at the very end. So that way we can keep people hanging out with us for as long as they'd like.
Nice.
I guess I could say what we should give away, but maybe not. Maybe we'll wait till after we give away the A10.
No, it could be anything. Let's not tell them what that is.
Well, here's the deal. If it's awesome, it's okay to not tell them. If it's like a lanyard.
Oh, yeah.
Dan, Ryan guessed it was a DX9 lanyard. Oh man.
You might go ahead and fess up. Let's do this A10, guys. Are you ready?
If you guys have not seen any of the videos or anything else on this airplane, what's going on? This airplane is in everybody's mouths right now. It's all over RC groups. There is a ton of influencers out there that have shared a ton of content on this. This airplane is 6S. It is small. It fits in a sedan. This thing is rocking. Go ahead and tell them about it.
I got people ask me because it's small and it's 6S if it's heavy flying.
With the battery, it's a little heavy.
It's definitely not. Watch the videos. It's floating right in. It's floating right. What's so funny, Boozer? I don't see a darn thing.
What do you? Jason.
Oh, there he is.
All right, that's
There we go.
That's not 6S power. That's Jason Merkle power right there.
Jason Merkle power.
So yeah, that's awful.
That
looks worse than I thought.
Is awesome, guys. It's the only thing you have to glue together is the horizontal stabilizer and the vertical tab. But it's very small. It fits in, like I said, a sedan. It is becoming one of my favorite go-to airplanes out at the field. I mean, I don't know how Ryan might feel about it, but this airplane is very fast, 100 plus miles per hour in level flight, guys, on a 6S pack.
Guys, watch the shakedown. You
Yeah,
guys
definitely check
watch
out
us
the
have
shakedown.
fun. You know, when we put out these shakedowns, for me, I mean, it's a maiden flight, but it's more than a maiden flight because the shakedown is where I am going to tell you everything I'm picking up from this thing, how I'm feeling about it, what I think it needs. You know, I was a little too nose heavy on my first flight, and I said so. I was like, yikes, man, the coming out of the downline was a little spooky. So that's the shakedown. I tell you everything I learned. It was fantastic. It was awesome. Very wide flight envelope. I kind of went into it thinking, you know, I thought it might fly heavy too and need to go really fast to stay up. And it was really, really, even nose heavy, it was really, really well behaved. So on the second flight, which I put up, so you can watch a shakedown, you can watch my second flight. I moved the battery back and didn't even use the forward strap. And that son of a gun was even more dialed in. Just when you think it can't get any better, it does. I got a flight from Bobby too that I'll be putting up later on in the week. I have so many videos to get through; it's not even funny. We got more. We got lots of content to get through and making more all the time. But yeah, the A10 is a great time. Like Cody said, there's loads of content on it right now. Go check out everybody's take. You know what I mean? Check it out. I showed you. I did an assembly as well. So I mean, you can see the whole thing. I mean, from here and also all these other guys who already have theirs. So check it out before you wreck it out. Let's do the raffle, unless I missed it.
And one other thing, I noticed that that when we do well, I guess never mind. I was gonna say when we hit the start button, we get a winner immediately. I was like, can we get a delay there a little bit and have some suspense?
Oh, yeah, I don't. I think it is what it is on that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, well, the guys who are, I mean, the names that are doing the timing out are all solid cats I completely trust. You know what I'm saying? Do it. Well, that's weird, isn't it? I'm talking to my producer that you guys can't hear.
we're talking to the internet gods right now.
Yeah. All right, producers, go ahead and roll it.
Good luck, guys. Good luck, everybody in the chat. This is the moment y'all been waiting for.
A10. A10. Here we go. We are rolling
Down the river.
Look at that.
Who's going to get it?
Oh, my goodness.
Who's getting it?
A dude who's not
Craig
here.
Gorowski. Come on down.
All right. This guy shows up.
You got 1:45.
2 minutes. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Brad, all you moderators are doing a great job right now. Thank you. I appreciate all you guys who congratulate the winner, but it's really confusing when you're trying to look for that dude's name, I got to tell you. Dude missed out, love. I'm telling you, right? I'm glad we're doing 2 minutes, not 5. That was just like brutal, wasn't it? Oh my gosh. This is just the best time.
So while we're waiting, I want to ask the chat, okay? I want to ask the chat. The people that are going to stay around to the very end of this thing, when we do this last-ditch effort giveaway, what would the chat be interested in from Horizon? If the chat, are they thinking an airplane? Are they thinking a charger? Are they thinking a transmitter? In the chat, be reasonable. We're not going to send anybody an IX-20. But in the chat, if you guys are, what are you guys looking for? What are you guys looking for? Would you guys like to see an airplane? Which is a transmitter, charger? What's everybody looking for? Throw some comments in the chat.
So I just saw in the chat. Did you guys see that? Well, why would you do that?
Oh, it's blowing up. See some P39s. I see a Citation. I'm seeing a Timber X. Havoc.
Air Tractor.
There's a DX9 in there. Okay.
Holy
Easy
crap.
1500. All right. All right.
SU30. Yeah.
I was thinking like a 12x6 prop or something, but yeah, whatever. We can do some of this stuff. What we got here?
I am going to give away.
Not the boss.
We are going to give away a Craig Gorosky.
Air Tractor.
Keeps making a comment that I'm not the winner. I just proved it's easy to cheat. Okay. Well, but that's not him. We're going to draw again. I mean, we're going to draw again. If it's,
let's see.
We're going to draw again. We're also going to give away one more thing before the last minute deal, okay? We're going to do, Guniac wants to give away an afterburner. So after the A10 and before the fat lady sings, we're going to do an afterburner. Does that sound good, you guys, Cody?
That sounds good, Ryan, but a lot of the people here might not know what an afterburner is. So before we draw, could we by chance get the boozers to show a picture of what it looks like installed in the airplane and lit up?
This guy's not here either. Don't be smart and prove to me that you can change your YouTube name real quick. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. There are a few. I've been trying to write down some of the questions I see come up in the chat. I've seen a couple things come by. Some people asking about Habus and Dracos and things like that. So maybe we can touch on some of that here.
Yeah, do it, man.
So, wow, so many. So I did see a couple people mentioned this and asked this question, and we've seen this a few different places. Will we ever come out with a composite Habu or something like that again? And I think we're looking at it. I think the Habu is a very well-known design that's very exclusive to Horizon, and so I don't know. We might do something very much along those lines. In the future, we may look at different iterations, maybe smaller ones, maybe larger ones. I personally am a big fan of what I like to call keeper airplanes, and some of the guys at the office feel the same way, that foam airplanes can last a long time if you take good care of them, but inherently they get banged up and dinged up no matter how nice you are to them. It's just not the same as a composite airplane or a composite wood airplane or even a wood airplane. And so I think we will definitely look at potentially offering some more composite but yet smaller sized affordable airplanes in the future. I'm not going to promise anything, but I do think the more and more we hear that feedback, I think the more likely we are to come out with something along those lines. And so I will also say the Habu name is something that is very near and dear to us, and there definitely will be Habus in the future. Some, we'll say there's some other Habus that may not thrill people as much, but there will be some down the road for sure of some kind. So something to just noodle on in time. We can't really talk about specifics of any upcoming products or new products, but we can say that there's a chance.
Yeah, I saw Colby Bryce got muted or timed out.
All right, so I hid that guy. So Colby Bryce, if you are, how do we figure out who you are? Colby Bryce, send me an email right now, info@pilotryanmedia.com. Let's do it. We're going to chill for a minute before we say anything about this A10 while we try to make sure this is actually him.
So Colby, if it is him, he just won the A10, correct?
If it's him, yeah. I don't think that. I mean, I hid the good one was timed out. So
Air Marshal just said the Colby guy was a cheater. Real Colby is here. Okay. Interesting.
Can somebody click on this dude and make sure it's like him? I can't go to his channel right now because one of our guys deleted the message, which I understand, but I think this guy might be okay if it's the real. Thanks for screwing it up completely, other guy. Yeah.
This
So,
Cody
all
Background
right.
had different profile pictures on 3 names.
Yeah, how would you do that fast? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, let me see my email real quick.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, you know.
So I did see another question which came up a lot recently after we announced the UMX citation. I see another question. Are you acquiring FMS? So I'll talk about that here in a minute. First and foremost, so we've been playing with retracts on ultramicros for years, and unfortunately, it's just not practical in the world today when you consider the weight that it adds, the complexity, which also then contributes to the cost. And in order to make them durable enough to survive most people's landings on most surfaces, yeah.
So was the Guniac Afterburner? Who got that?
We haven't done that one yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We're getting ready to do that. I want to sort this A10 for sure, though. So you guys who are sending me, okay, you guys who are sending me emails, you can't enter anymore into the contest. That's all done.
Yeah.
You can't
enter up till
anymore.
yesterday, right?
That's right. That's right. So if this guy was timed out and he won, and he hadn't come back in here putting this chat on fire, then he didn't really win. You know what I mean? Where's the... Okay. Okay.
So
Well,
he's not here then? Then let's move on.
Then we're going to roll again. I mean, he's not coming here in protest. So we're going to roll again on the A10. Let's do it. Let's behave. Can we? Goodness.
Well, I mean, we can always go back and look at the original comments picture. It's just a lot of extra work.
Yeah. No, let's do it.
That.
Let's roll it. Yep. Well, then we know for sure. Everybody says draw again. This guy's not. No, listen. If you were in here and you won an A10 and you hear the chat talking about draw again and kind of stuff, and you don't pipe up, then that's on you.
Yeah. So Kevin Farrows asked a good question. He's here quite often. He asked if RF9 will ever have the latest E-flite models immediately as they release. So that is something that we're working towards too. We don't just put a model in there. It's not easy to put a model in there. There is a development time there. We don't want every model in RealFlight to fly the same. So we actually try to get the models, the newer releases, we like to get those as tuned in as possible before we implement them into the simulator. If you've flown a lot of the models in the simulator, you'll know that a lot of them fly very different than each other. And we do that because the goal is to get them to fly as similar to the real model.
Yeah, so I'll speak to a little bit more on that too. That and we did mention some of this during our interview with Jim T on RC Groups the other day. That we don't typically start working on the model in RealFlight until the real one is done and out in the market. And so we probably wouldn't in the future offer an E-flite airplane the moment that it comes out or is announced as a RealFlight download. But it wouldn't be necessarily out of the question to say it couldn't happen in the future a couple weeks or a couple months after it comes out. But at the moment, the way that RealFlight is kind of working is that each year there's an update, and each update comes with 10 to 15 new models. And so we're always working on those models throughout that year to get them ready for that release of RealFlight. And I can say that coming up this year, there will be a lot of the models we just came out with, and then also some models we haven't come out with yet this year that will be in the next iteration of RealFlight, which is going to be really cool. And then down the road, we are looking at ways to change how RealFlight works potentially. I'm not going to promise anything, can't say anything for certain, but we are looking at ways that maybe RealFlight is a base version and you can just add features to it as you want them, or add models. You can buy a model at a time, you can buy a field at a time. That's a very different way for RealFlight to be than it has been. And so it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I wouldn't say it's going to happen this year or next year. But it's something that we are looking at in the future. And for the guys that don't have it, RealFlight is great. You should always have RealFlight.
Absolutely.
Listen, sorry, Wesley, can you look and see what the avatar for Nolan? So when you go to the contest video, what's his avatar look like? I don't buy it. I don't buy it right now.
So I'm looking at a Nolan Brewster that has 3 subscribers and a picture of a sailplane. Is that not the guy?
Okay. And that's on the contest video. Okay. Which one are you clicking on, Cody?
I was just going to YouTube looking at the top 5 of Nolan Brewsters and just kind of going through them.
Yeah, and where is he again? He's not. You would be. We're gonna do this different, okay? What's gonna happen, Wesley? This time you are not showing the name on the screen. We're gonna see. I know who's here in the chat, and we're gonna see it off. All of us right here are gonna see who's the name, and we're not gonna say that person's name. And we're going to look, and then we'll say, there they are. I don't know what else to do at this point. You guys are okay with that?
I am. It's unfortunate. I mean, Nolan Brewster, I apologize. Yeah, it's Ryan's giveaway, so it's his rules. So Nolan, if that is you, I apologize. We have some trolls in the chat, so
we're just. Again, if you're Nolan and you're here and you hear this kind of talk, you would be blowing the chat up.
I would too. I'd be saying like 100 emojis. I'd be
all right. Sorry. Thanks so much for. So do me a favor. The names, take that off of the screen, Lori, if you can. We're going to do that behind the scenes. You may have to text me and all that because I don't know. So do me a favor. Go ahead and run it. And no more 2 minutes. I'm going to fix it. We're going to do it this way now. So text me the name, please, Wesley, when you get one. And the rest of us in Skype can all see this. This is no fake news. And honestly, I could pick whoever I wanted to anyway. This guy's not here. This guy's not here. I don't need 2 minutes. Do it again. Thank you, Wesley. You guys, I haven't seen this guy's name all night. So do it again, Wes. Appreciate you guys who are hanging out on the reel. I don't think this guy's here either.
Is there a way that I can see it too, Ryan, so I can see if I've seen him? Because I can't see anything on the Skype screen.
You know what? Can you, Lori? Can you work that out?
I see 3. I see Lori herself, and then I see Jason, and I see Ryan. So I'm looking at Lori right now in one window, and then Jason, and then Ryan.
Okay, Lori. Then if he can see you, then you show the camera to Cody.
That works. That works.
Yeah.
That
okay.
Works.
I haven't seen that all night. I haven't seen that all night. Do it again. Mo money, mo problems. Hey. All right, roll again now for me, Lori.
Hey. I thought I saw that name too.
I haven't seen it for a while though. Have you guys?
I saw it when there he is.
Wait a minute.
He's put a comment. So real fast.
Look at this. Dude says I'm here.
Yeah, he said it immediately. So,
how would you know?
Well, verbally, maybe. I don't know.
Can you guys hear Wesley?
well, I said it. I said it when you guys brought it up. But he commented like immediately. I don't know. I mean, it was very fast.
Terry Farmer, send me an email, info@pilotryanmedia.com. Send me.
Yeah, I've seen him too. Yeah.
Send me a link to your YouTube channel also in that email. Please. info@pilotryanmedia.com. Hangar 51, you're fired. All right.
So congrats, Terry Farmer. We're gonna triple check everything on the back here, but congrats to the winner of the A10.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for making that really interesting. That's like fake news and stuff going on. Whatever. Yeah. Terry Farmer, get a hold of me. info@pilotryanmedia.com. We are going to verify that you are someone who exists.
There's we could also just go to the video of Ryan and go directly to that YouTube channel and send him an email based off the email that's associated with his YouTube channel too.
That's true. And then look at if this guy, if the real Terry Farmer isn't in here but he wins, I mean, goodness, good for him. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's crazy.
Yep.
All right.
That's something that we can do, Ryan, just to make sure everything looks good. Is just go to the post, click on the YouTube username, and just see what his email is and verify that it's the same. That's one way to check.
That sounds good to me. Yeah.
So I did see some other questions come up in here that I'd love to address for some of the guys that are sticking around.
Yes, do it.
I like that this was nuts, and he put a peanut. Real quick, I wanted to finish up on RealFlight. So, again, RealFlight is a phenomenal tool. I taught myself to fly helicopters on a simulator, Dave Brown's simulator, way before RealFlight. And the first time I went out to fly a helicopter, I hovered a tank. Next flight, I did loops and rolls. Third flight, I did inverted flying. So that is how great a simulator is. And then on top of that, I learned 3D airplane flying with RealFlight. I learned how to hover. I learned how to Harrier. I learned how to Harrier roll, all on RealFlight. The best aerobatic pilot, RC aerobatic pilot in the world, Jace Ducius, spends multiple hours a day on RealFlight. So if you haven't bought RealFlight pilot, and maybe you've balked at the price, $200 almost with a controller, trust me, it's the best money.
It's a lot of fun. And right now, being stuck at home.
Is anybody else? Is Jason cutting out?
So I think RealFlight, great tool. Sorry, yeah, I think it was. I was trying to pull up our system so I could access some inventory to make sure we don't try to give away something we don't have.
Oh, right.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I just double checked, Cody. What we were texting about is out of stock.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to give something else away here.
All right.
Let's see. I'm gonna keep digging.
I'm gonna look down at my phone, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm texting you.
Okay.
So at any rate, one of the other we're here at the end. We want to, based on the comments we saw when we asked a little bit ago, I think it's a resounding, likely a particular item.
Oh, is it?
And
I would hope so.
While you guys figure it out, I want to do.
We're gonna do that.
Gooniac Afterburner.
Yeah.
Terry Farmer, appreciate you. Thanks. I'm bearing with you. No worries. I'm not gonna. It's you. It's you. So let's roll behind the scenes, boozers, for the Gooniac burner. Okay. We have to take it a different way because we can't be respectable, some of us in the chat, and I'm sorry. That's how it went. So roll for me behind the scenes, and we're going to give away Gooniac's Afterburner. Ray, if you're in the chat, drop links to access for you. You're easy to find on Facebook and all that good stuff as well.
As I say Ryan earlier, some people might not know what the afterburner is. Do you mind just telling them what that is and go over that a little bit?
Absolutely. So back in days of old, and RC model time is like dog years. So if I say last year, it's really like 7 years ago in technology. Anyway, not too long ago, you'd have these afterburner rings that came on thrust tubes, exit air of electric ducted fans. And so with the afterburner rings, to modify and move it over to a different aircraft and shift them around, you had to do a whole lot of work to make them fit. You're cutting into your outlet ducting and all kinds of things you really don't want to do. So along comes this kind of new way of approaching the afterburner where they have a little cluster of these high power LEDs that just go onto the back of, do I have one around? The back of a can EDF. So outrunners, I believe on inrunners they can do it as well. You'll have a afterburner ring, not a ring, but I'm sorry, the cluster of afterburners right here, and that makes running the wiring and everything a lot shorter as well, because now you've got the lights are up here closer to the middle of the fuselage rather than the very aft end of the fuselage where the rings used to go on the outlet ducting. So it's kind of nice because you can have the afterburner effect without cutting into the tail of your plane, without seeing it visibly, and it's really cool. And they say that if you paint the inside of your thrust tubes white, that'll keep air from leaking, or not air, it'll keep the light from leaking through like glue joints and things like that. Also, some folks line their thrust tubes with like the aluminum foil tape, things like that. Honestly, I don't ever do anything when I put one in, and it's awesome. So, yeah, there's videos all over the place. Follow Guniak on Instagram. Check him out on Facebook. He's lighting the butt up of every cool EDF that's been released over the last handful of years. So I think that explains it.
Yes. Hey, Wes, is there any way you could show the picture of the afterburner installed in the airplane? I see you have it here in Skype. Is there any way to show that in the screen?
Sweet, man, bro. Do it.
Ooh, SU-30 fiery booty.
Yeah, double down.
Oh, yeah.
Double down. So, yeah, that's what it looks like, I'm guessing.
Oh, that looks
Yeah, I
good.
still don't see it in the screen.
Ooh, that looks good.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Sunset action. I'm late to the party, and I threw it. That's hilarious. Oh, nice. See, look at Guniak's RC EDF Creations. Follow him. Check him out on Facebook. You can message him and request what it is you'd like. He can make them custom for whatever size you'd like. And I believe he can even change the color of the LEDs. I know RC Air Marshal has green LEDs coming out of his Havoc, which makes it look like the Incredible Hulk jet. I mean, it's just totally cool, right? So Guniak's giving away this one. Wesley, do you have a name for me behind the scenes? Okay. I appreciate you. Thanks. My dad, we started on Real Flight 2, right, Pops? Who is it? Send me a text. I think he was a name earlier that wasn't him. That's why you've seen it before. Yeah. I think so. Send me the Green Goblin. Yeah. Yeah.
So I noticed the chat is kind of dropping here a little bit, guys. Just so you know, we are going to do a giveaway at the very last minute of tonight's show. So
yes,
stick around for that.
Stick around. Everybody's been really awesome.
And we're going to give some more inside information here on some questions that I've been writing down some notes here based on what I see people asking about. Good stuff.
What's a Draco?
Draco Malfoy? He's a character from Harry Potter.
I've been trolling people with that forever.
Yeah.
I'm not. Just give me another name, Wesley, because I haven't seen it. You need to be active at this point because we've had to change the game. Text me the name so I can see it, buddy. Sweet action, Joe Jackson. I'm gonna make the call. I'm running behind Christopher Fletcher. He's not here. I haven't seen that name.
For the item we're going to give away at the very end here, we're talking about something that's going to be worth almost $500.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's not cheap. It's a big one.
That's not 500. That's not 500 deer, guys. It's $500.
Yes. And it's something that literally anyone can enjoy.
Yep. At this point, I am. There's no time to get in. You got to be in now. So give me another name. That dude's not here. And I won't say the next name. Show it to Cody so he can help me find it.
I haven't seen that name all
they're not in here. They're not in here.
Make a comment, everybody.
Yeah, make a comment because
comment. It's kind of come down to this, just with people trying to troll the chat. So if you're here, make a comment.
Yep, we can't do it. Scooter91, thank you so much. All you new folks, stick with us. This has been a great show and very ambitious to do all the. Honestly, we could just talk to these guys and not do giveaways at all. But it's a great time to be doing giveaways. The world's kind of crazy. Come together, hang out with your friends, talk about things that bring you joy and put a smile on your face. And this is what we do here. This is what we do. Look at this. All right, give me another name, Holmes. Nope. Next. I know. What? Nope, not here. Not here. Never seen, not here. Holy moly, it's going fast. Holy moly, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Nope.
We could just say the first name and let them put the last name to it. Is there a Joe in the chat?
You're going to get so many.
What is your last name, Joe?
Everybody everybody's whose first name is that is now going to be completely bummed it in them. Right. Thomas
Holy
Milano.
crap.
Thanks. My gosh.
Yeah, throwing a lot.
Oh, wee.
Yay. Ah.
I'm about to pick someone. Just rando.
In the chat.
Do another one.
Cow.
Do another one. Wesley, do another.
I feel like we need to qualify it as a person who has a jet? That it'll fit?
There's no way to prove that they have a jet.
That's a good point.
Kind of just rolling with the flow right now.
Not here, Wesley. All right. This is nuts.
I'm still making notes on what to talk about based on questions.
Is there a Jose in the chat? What's your last name, Jose?
All right. This is nuts. Look how fast it's going. Look how fast it's going.
Oh, wow. Something else.
Let's see. Maybe there's some kind of crazy question I can ask. And if you know the answer,
you could ask a question that was discussed at the very beginning of the chat and see if that person's here, if they know the answer. The first person to know the answer from the question at the very beginning of the chat, they win. That's an idea.
Yeah, something that maybe Cody talked about.
Yeah,
about his history.
Oh man. So, you like it, Wesley? This feels like the wheel in Minnesota again. Holy moly, Spicoli. So let's say, oh my gosh, chat is insane. Let's go. What was, you know what? Ryan Williams. He's the winner. I just got it from Lori. Ryan Williams. He's the winner.
Ah.
Now, he's not been here, and someone's going to fake that it's him. You know what? This is my one winner who doesn't have to be here to win it. I know him. We're going to get it to him.
Sweet.
Ryan flies jets. Guniak, you know who he is. He's got a limo service. The guy is hustling, works hard out of Chicago.
Perfect. Love it. And I also love that people were posting history about Cody. He drove a forklift, air hog.
Nice.
You all know me now. No secrets.
Yeah.
I love it.
Social
security
I'm
number.
going to get with Ryan Williams, Guniak. We'll get you his information. That's how we're doing it.
So
now,
if it's okay, I want to talk about some of these behind-the-scenes questions these guys were asking about.
Man,
well, sort of behind the scenes, but maybe insightful information. So one of the questions was, are we acquiring FMS? And no, we are not. FMS is a good partner of ours. We work with a number of factories very closely. And obviously, they are the guys that we work with closest on EDFs in particular and high-end scale aircraft. And they're good at what they do, and we want them to continue doing it, and we'll continue working very closely with them. We're also going to continue distributing FMS products. So as you guys may know, we are the exclusive distributor for FMS in the United States. So if you ever need an FMS part, something like that, you can get it through us. And we're, I will say that they move a little faster than we do sometimes, so we don't always get things added to our website as quickly as they announce them. But we are trying to have better coordination on both sides on that. But again, we're not buying them out, and we're going to keep working with them. And let's see, another question that came up was, what are we doing with brands that we acquired from Habaco? So Great Plains, Top Flight, Habaco, Fly Zone, Dramata. So first and foremost, I'll say that the Habaco brand is going away. Anything that was Habaco branded, because that entity is gone, is gone. Great Plains will continue, and also Top Flight will continue, but not exactly the way they were. So for example, one of the things that some guys may not love to hear, and we wish it wasn't the case, is that Great Plains hardware, a lot of it's going to go away because we can't make it anymore. A lot of the things that were required to make the hardware went away with the Habaco bankruptcy, so tooling and fixtures and things like that. So unfortunately, we can't make a lot of that hardware anymore. But the good news is that Dubro is still out there, and there's other companies that make great hardware as well. But Great Plains will stick around, and some accessories and glues and things like that. In fact, there's some really great Great Plains glue that I've been using for the last couple of months. I love it. So be sure to check that stuff out. It's good stuff. Top Flight will continue because, hey, Monocoat, Top Flight Monocoat will be around for a long time to come. Monocoat is actually produced in the United States, and then it gets shipped to, originally it was shipped to Habaco in large rolls, then cut down to smaller rolls here locally in Champaign. We kind of shifted that business model a little bit to make it more practical, but that part of Top Flight will continue to live on. The airplanes, on the other hand, more difficult situation there. So I will say this, I don't think people will be a fan of this, but this is reality because we see sales numbers, guys. Kits do not sell. So all these guys saying that we're killing kits, we're killing the industry, we're killing the hobby because all we care about is foamies or ARFs. Sorry, guys, the reality of the world is not enough people are buying kits. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't kit manufacturers out there that are surviving, Balsa USA and some other guys that's their niche. That's what they do. And they funnel a lot of business into theirs. But it makes no sense for us to produce a Top Flight Warbird kit right now. When we look at what it costs to make that kit versus what people are willing to pay for it, it just doesn't correlate. A kit would be $500 for a 50cc Warbird, and you can buy an ARF for a little bit more than that. It just doesn't make sense. And then Top Flight ARFs, unfortunately, the factories that produce those are just not around anymore, most of them. And/or if they're still around, they're not able to really do business with us. And so it's very complex to run the logistics of ordering from many different factories, each factory having enough product to put into a full container to ship it to you, and some of the realities of that supply chain. And then also some of those factories really didn't survive through the Habaco bankruptcy because they weren't getting paid. And so although we own those designs and there's a chance that some could come back down the road, at the moment, we don't plan on necessarily adding more top flight airplanes to the lineup. We still have some in the lineup that we're going to continue. The factories that we can still buy from, we'll continue buying those airplanes and bringing them in as much as we can. And so some of the top flight ARFs are going to still continue to be available, and parts for those kits or ARFs as well. Some of the accessories will continue as well. But in essence, top flight will probably become more of a monocoque and accessory brand, and Hangar 9 will continue as it has been for many years. We've built up factories that can easily supply, Hangar 9 / top flight quality. I would say to a degree, Hangar 9 and top flight were almost interchangeable. They were the best of the best at what they do. And so now we have guys that worked on top flight airplanes and the guys that worked on Hangar 9 airplanes working under one roof. And there's no reason we can't come out with great products like the Hangar 9 Oscar, for example, was a good example of a great airplane that, could have been a top flight airplane, could have been a Hangar 9 airplane, almost interchangeable. And so that's one thing I like to point out. Fly Zone Andromeda. So Fly Zone, it was very similar to Hobby Zone, Park Zone, E-flite. And there were some good models in the Fly Zone brand, but the truth is that as a brand, it just didn't have the sales to support it anymore. And so it's going to go away. Now, some of the Fly Zone models that maybe had potential or more potential, we may bring them back under different names, under different brands in the future. It's a possibility. No guarantees on that, but that brand Andromeda are pretty much going to go away because, we've already had other brands that covered that. So Andromeda, for example, we've got Blade. And so we don't necessarily need to have two brands that are selling helicopters and quadcopters and so on and so forth. So a lot of information to digest there, but when we acquired Habaco, our goal was to keep as many of the brands as possible, as many of the products as possible. But over the last couple of years, different things have happened, either in the availability of fixtures and tooling locally, and then the logistics of getting things from other factories overseas. And then, again, some of those factories, unfortunately, didn't survive the many months that it took for us to finally have ownership to where we could potentially buy that product from them again. So it wasn't our goal to buy Habaco brands and kill them. That was not our goal. I know some people say that, some people feel that. Absolutely not the case. When you look at it from the view that we have, most everyone would agree with the decisions that we've made. And then some of it, again, was made outside of our control. We didn't want things to go away like Great Plains Hardware, but it just has to, unfortunately. So, yeah.
The more, when you can hone in and refine I feel like a smaller number of brands, you can support it better. And,
exactly.
It's just the unfortunate, cruel reality. If it were viable, like you said, well, then it would be available. Things that don't sell don't continue to be produced. That's just how it goes. So it's a simple supply and demand deal.
Yep.
It is
what it is. It is that simple, even within our brands that are continuing, like Hangar 9, E-flite. Let me bring up an example. So Park Zone is going away. We love Park Zone. We've loved it for a long time. And the products that are in Park Zone were very specialized, relatively speaking. They were park flyers. But the whole essence of park flying is not what it once was. You're not allowed to fly in parks like you once were. So promoting a park flyer brand, maybe not the best thing to do at the moment. So we can take some of those products, though, and move them over to E-flite potentially, maybe add some features to them. Because that's how I always saw Park Zone and E-flite, is Park Zone was simple. A good example, the Park Zone Wildcat. This is a hand launch, 4-channel warbird, no retracts, no flaps. That's a Park Zone airplane. Small enough, 1.1 meter to fly in a park, versus a 1.2 meter E-flite warbird is more scale, flaps, retracts, takes more space to fly, maybe a flying field. And so that was a big differentiator between those two. Now, that said, we could certainly come out with like a Park Zone series of airplanes with an E-flite, which is a very practical possibility. And that's why those brands, we don't need both. We could put most of what Park Zone was doing into E-flite in a different way. So that may happen. And then within E-flite, some airplanes go, people are like, why'd you discontinue that? You guys are idiots for discontinuing. That was the best airplane ever. Sorry, guys. When we look at the sales numbers, if it's not selling, it goes away. The Carbon Z T28 is a perfect example. We did not want that airplane to go away. But you guys, the market, basically let it die. You didn't buy them. We were selling so few per month, we couldn't make the MOQ at the factory. Now, we loved it so much and we heard so much backlash after it went away that we thought, all right, maybe we should bring this back. It's very special. There's nothing like it in the world. And so we went back to the factory and we said, hey guys, we know your MOQ is this. Here's what we think we can practically sell. Can we meet somewhere in the middle? And they did. They raised the price on us. They raised our cost to make up for the lower volume. And we brought them in and we sold out the first batch, and we're going to be ordering some more. And if it continues to sell, great, we'll continue to bring them in. But there's not a lot of examples of that. Most airplanes, when it gets down to selling just a few a month, it's gone, guys. It's out of here. We got to make room for the next new airplane that's going to potentially outsell it. And so we can't have 200 E-flite airplanes. We can have maybe 50, and they all got to sell. And if you don't make the cut, you're gone. So we do it from a business standpoint more than from a heartstring standpoint. I wish it wasn't that way sometimes, but hey, I'm a practical person. I'm a realistic person, and I'm a business person as well. And that's how we look at things. So I know, guys, you think we don't know, but we know more than you know. And just because a bunch of guys on RC groups say they think it's the best and they all love it, 30 guys on RC groups does not represent the 300,000 guys that potentially buy our airplanes. So something else to keep in mind. I love RC groups, by the way. Not a jab on RC groups by any stretch. Guys on RC groups are more enthusiastic than most in our industry, and I love that. That's what makes RC groups so special. Yeah. So, those brands are it's a tough thing. Products and brands go away because you can't support hundreds of airplanes and dozens of brands. It whittle it down to a point where you can do a good job with what you got left.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You just, unfortunately, that's how it goes. If you governed on heart, you would suffer. You wouldn't be here to still be offering new things. You have to keep up with technology. Yes. You have to release new things. Hobby industry, but many industries. Every year there's a new model of the same camera. They slightly tweak it, whatever. They're just new is king. It doesn't matter what the thing is. New is always cool. So, guys, how are you doing in the chat? Holy moly. We still have a lot of folks in here. Apparently some folks that don't know how to behave, but such is life.
I just saw somebody say, Cody looks tired.
You know what, guys? I'm not really tired. I'm more relaxed. My feet are propped up. I'm really chill right now. It's Saturday night. I'm hanging out with some friends, man.
Saturday.
Where's your cider, bro?
I left my cider at the Don't Worry About convenience store down the street, Jason.
Oh, fair enough. We all like cider, man.
I don't have my apple. I don't have my apple orchards with
Angry
me.
Orchard,
apple orchards, they're all good.
Yeah.
So real quick to backtrack about kind of what I was just saying about products that sell and don't sell. I see a couple people asking here about UMX warbirds in particular. So I'll say this overall, that we've had a couple of UMX brushless 2S powered warbirds over the last couple of years, and they've all gone away. And I guess you guys can probably guess now why they went away. You guys weren't buying them. So warbirds as a subject matter, the market has changed. 7-8 years ago, warbirds were hot. Everybody wanted warbirds. Every company could come out with the same warbird in the same size and sell a bunch of them. But that's not the case anymore. Warbirds are not dead, but they're not the hot thing that they once were, and especially in ultramicro. I mean, in ultramicro, they're pretty much dead. So there will not be an ultramicro bird anytime soon. I'm not saying never, because it's possible that things come back. But at the moment, there's no reason to make a 2S ultramicro warbird or probably even a 3S ultramicro warbird, because the ones we had up until a couple months ago didn't sell. So on the larger sizes, it's a little different. I think what's happened in our industry is that as people have become better pilots and see that we can make bind and fly airplanes that are really scale with a lot of cool details and a lot of cool features, like our 1.5 meter P51. It's got retractable tail wheel. It's super scale surface detail. It's got smart technology. I mean, this thing is cream of the crop, and it's selling very well. And I think that's because the market has shifted. If they want a warbird, they don't want a 2S ultramicro without retracts and flaps. They really want the whole experience. Flaps, retracts, sequenced gear doors, lights, smart technology. So maybe you'll see more larger warbirds, but you're not going to see smaller warbirds at all. And you're not going to see the frequency of warbird releases that we once had. So I think that's just a kind of a behind the scenes kind of insight. A lot of people I see comment about it, And other companies are releasing warbirds. We totally understand that. Maybe they don't see the numbers that we see, or maybe their niche is more that than ours. But from a practical standpoint, I'd say what's hot right now tends to be EDFs. I don't think that's a surprise. And then also scale civilian, civilian scale stuff.
Draco specifically.
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of everything. Yeah, and because of jets, because of the technology, because of how efficient they've become, we have a lot more offerings of them. It's for EDFs, it's been the golden age. You were not going to fly some of this stuff just a few years ago for more than a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and definitely not at the sizes we're able to fly them at now. They would have been small. They'd have had fixed gear. So I mean, over the last years, the jets have been more and more prolific. And I had a theory about this a while ago. I haven't brought up for a minute, but it's the technology of the models available that change a little bit the buying habits. It's also the age of people in the hobby. So years ago, a lot of us had grandfathers, uncles who were close to prop warbirds and Korean prop planes and things like this, where somebody knew somebody who served on it, repaired it, fixed it. The more time creeps by, the less and less of that connection there kind of might be. So it's easier now for more people to have a connection with jet, let's say, just because of the time frame and the era, not just the innovation where we're at now in the hobby. With that said, warbirds were so hot. There are so many 4S guys out there, the bigger 4S, 3600s, 4000s, the stuff that you used to like to cram into the FMS warbirds. There's a lot of those guys who are sitting back, and I hear this from them. They kind of feel like maybe someone's missing the boat with them. And to keep up with technology, and if you want to take advantage of the cool things that are being released, it is almost inevitable that you need to migrate to 6S. But that doesn't take away from the fact there's a lot of guys sitting on that 4S fence still waiting on it to come. So I still think there's a spot for some of that. I of course am not privy to sales figures and things like that. But one thing I think would really help segue those guys on the 4S fence to 6S is to let them experience these EDFs without having to jump to 6. And I know there's all kinds of numbers and reasons why that doesn't always jive or make sense. And I've flown some 4S jets, and they're a lot of fun, but they just never seem to have the same grunt as 6S does. We talked a little bit about this A10, how it could have maybe off camera, how it could have maybe been a 4S offering, but it just didn't deliver what it needs to in this current climate with offerings that are available to compete. So can you talk to us a little bit about a little bit more of the hard tangibilities of why it's a 6S A10 instead of a 4S A10? Because I think that'll apply to kind of more of this.
So I think I'll touch upon what you mentioned first, though, about the social change that there's been in our hobby, which is partly based on the age of the people in the hobby now or coming to the hobby now. And that is a part of, I think, also realistically, we think, why warbirds aren't as popular as they had been in the past. Yeah. So I think that's reality. A10 is great subject matter. People know even, older people, younger people, the A10 is still in service, and it's still so unique. It was in the news just a few years ago about getting axed, and very fortunately we decided not to. And so it's a subject matter that everybody knows well, and it's very, very desirable because of that. And so a P51 is always going to be desirable, but the lesser, the more obscure warbirds, P39 is a good example. It's selling okay. We're not surprised that it's not selling better, but and the guys give us a hard time. Oh, you always make P51, 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 P47. Hey guys, that's because they sell the best. We wish it wasn't the case, but that giant scale Oscar is okay. It's not selling as well as maybe a Mustang would have done. That's the reality, because not as many people are as attached to that subject matter. But then on the subject of batteries, what we've been doing is looking very closely, because I've seen these comments over the years, and personally, I've always bought this way. I invest heavily in certain capacities and cell counts of batteries, and then I build my fleet around those. And that's not uncommon, because when you first get in the hobby, I think everybody does. They buy the plane they want, kind of without thinking about the battery, or maybe they think about it a little bit, like, I got to go buy a 4S 3700, and so they do that. And then the next thing they know, they only have one airplane that uses a 4S 3700, and they only have one or two of those batteries, and they want to go fly, and they're like, man, I don't want to buy more batteries for that. And so the next thing you know, you don't take that one out to the field anymore, and you start gravitating toward, I got a bunch of airplanes that are 4S 2200s, or I got a bunch of 6S 5000s. And so within all the available battery configurations out there, we see their sweet spots. You've got obviously your 2-cell 280 ultra micro batteries. You've got your 2S and 3S, maybe 800 milliamp for your kind of larger, higher performance ultra micros. Your 3S 1300, although not as popular as it once was, there's still a little pocket there for mostly our trainers like Mini Apprentice and Carbon Cub S. Then your 3S 2200, 4S 2200, that's obviously your meat of the market. And the 4S battery these days is far more desirable because you get so much more performance. And we've been fortunate to be able to make a lot of our airplanes work on both 3S22 and 4S22 out of the box. It's pretty good on 3, but it's phenomenal on 4. And we're going to keep doing that, because also a lot of guys tell us, I still use 3S batteries, and I still have a lot of 3S batteries. But also we see a lot of guys go, hey, I don't want to fly with a 3S 2200 in my 1.2 meter warbird for 5-6 minutes, and then I put a 4S in there, it pulls 70 amps, and I only get 3 minutes. They want to shove a 4S 32 in there. So now we're looking at trying to widen that window of compatibility in those mid-size models to where it's 3S 1800 all the way up to 4S 3200. And so the Air Tractor is a great example of an airplane that can fly on all those batteries. Yeah. 3S 1800, no problem. 4S 32, no problem. Heck, you could probably stick a 4S 5000 in there if you wanted to. And then we see there is a gap there. I know that there's some guys that have 4S 5000s, and our EC 1500 is an example of an airplane that uses those, but it just hasn't taken off yet, that category. We haven't seen a lot of reason to make 4S 4,000 to 5,000 compatible models, because it doesn't seem to be as common. And maybe we're missing something there, because other people do offer those. And you mentioned that might be a pocket of people out there saying, why aren't there more planes for us? So we'll look at that. But I think when we looked at the A10 in particular, we saw there were 4S models out there and they performed okay. And we tried it on 4S and it was okay. But like you said, by today's standards, it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
People want a jet to go 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
If it's sub 100, it's not enough. And I know it's way on scale. Like the A10 should not fly at this scale, 1/15th scale, I think, 100 miles per hour. We know that. But if it flew 80 miles per hour on 4S, people would have been like, oh, that's it? So on 6S, we get 100 miles per hour. You can also throttle back, and you can get longer flight times than you would have gotten on a 4S 5000. And, you know, a 6S 3200 or 4000 is now becoming a new emerging category of battery a lot of guys have, in part because 70 millimeter EDFs went there.
It's perfect for those. Yes.
Yep. So I would say in a perfect world for me, I really wish that our 70 millimeter EDFs or the A10 fit a 6S 5000, because I have a ton of 6S 5000s for my bigger stuff. Yeah. And I know it ends up being heavy. In the case of most of these smaller EDFs, it's nose heavy. But, you know, hey, I will say some guys fly nose heavy planes and don't mind it. I don't personally love it. Nose heavy does not mean your plane is going to fly better. It means it probably will fly different, but it's going to be heavy on the nose on approach. You're going to have a hard time flaring. Maybe you're carrying a bunch of up trim in level flight and you roll inverted and now the thing's hunting the ground. So a nose heavy plane flies, but it doesn't fly well.
Right.
And so I would say most of these mid-size EDFs, the 70 millimeter singles or the 64 millimeter twins, are still going to be around that 4,000 is probably the sweet spot. And then your 80 millimeter or your twin 70 millimeter, I think 5,000 on the low end up to 7,000 or 8,000 on the high end will be practical for most people.
Yeah.
And then we're already working on new power systems, not only on the motor side, but on the ESC side to eke out a little bit more performance. And that performance may be power, it may be flight time, it may be both. We're not looking at keeping things status quo. Now, battery technology is maxed out at the moment. We're not going to get any more out of our batteries. But what we could do is get 10 to 20% more efficiency out of our motor and ESC. And now maybe we're going to get an extra 30 seconds of flight time along with better vertical and more speed. So we're working on that right now behind the scenes with some very high-end ESC manufacturers and motor manufacturers to look at putting those into our future EDFs in particular, because we really don't love 3-minute flight times ourselves. We want 5+ minute high-performance EDF flight times. That's what we want. Yeah.
I think it's been great. So many of these offerings are and in-runner doesn't necessarily mean more flight time, but it certainly seems to. I felt like I was around at some of these 80s and 90s first coming to market from other brands. And, the flight times were very, very short. 2.5 minutes. And of course, if you're flying a jet, you're not flying it to milk it for flight time. You want flight time, but you want to be able to be firewalled in it, And so it was always hard on the batteries. The flight times are pretty short. So getting to fly the E-flite stuff and FMS stuff that's got these in-runners, the correlation I always drew with these in-runners seemed to be more flight time. And a lot of us, I mean, we want to be able to go fast. We want grunt. We want to be able to get out of trouble. But I think for me, I like, if there's going to be a benefit added to a tech, I want more flight time. If I had to pick more flight time over speed, I like more flight time all the time. Mm-hmm. Now, don't slow it down. Don't make it keep I always tell people, if it isn't flying fast enough, you're flying too far away. Get a little closer. That'll wake you up. If you want the pucker factor, fly a little closer to yourself. Mm-hmm. But keep the speed the same. But if you can give me flight time, I always appreciate that. So what are some of the things that happen to an EDF to enhance that flight time? Is that technology advancement lie in the airflow and the blade tech, or does it lie in the motor and the windings and stuff that I don't get at all? Magnets.
It's both.
So it's all related. The ducting. Your ducting in particular is probably one of the places that makes the biggest difference, no matter what your motor and fan are. And so certain airplanes don't lend themselves well to ducting. F-16 is a good example of an airplane that the inlet on this full scale is so small, and the darn retract has to be right there, it's very hard to come out with an F-16 foam EDF that doesn't have cheaters. And so we don't want it to, but inherently it happens. And so F-16s don't tend to be the most efficient airplanes. So that said, they're better, more efficient subject matters. And so we may look at offering more of those down the road. But the motor side of things, in-runner, so I've been using brushless motors since early 2000s. And we started with in-runners, and then outrunners became a thing. And Mr. Hacker, that makes Hacker Motors, he knows motors better than anyone. I spent a lot of time working with him years ago. And he's like, the outrunner, no matter what, will never be as efficient as the in-runner, period. And for certain applications, the outrunner makes sense because maybe you need a larger prop spinning at lower RPM. So, for example, a pattern airplane. High-end 2-meter competition pattern airplanes are going to either use a very large outrunner single prop or a counter-rotating in-runner with a gearbox. And that said, on other applications, an in-runner with a gearbox is far more efficient than an outrunner with a larger prop. But also on the EDS side of things, the in-runner is usually going to potentially be more efficient depending on a number of things: the pull count of the motor, the diameter of that in-runner motor versus the fan, number of blades on that fan, and how much drag it has. There's a lot of nuance in it, but it really is, in our experience so far lately, trying to eke a little more out of everything. I think in-runner is the answer, and also then more efficient airflow ducting wise. And then fan blade is still something that can be tweaked a little bit more to be made a little bit better. And a combination of those things in the right platform is probably going to give us that extra minute or two that we're missing right now. And so we're looking at that because we want to make sure that if we do come out with more EDFs, that it's not just more of the same, that it's a little better and a little better and a little better. And I think this 6S Power Twin 64 810 is a great example of taking things up a notch. And I would love to see more twin 64 millimeter airplanes. I think it's a sweet spot personally. I think if we had a number of them that were 6S 5000 compatible, you'd be getting 5 to 7 minute flight times with high performance in a variety of subject matters. Maybe airliner, F-14, SR-71. I mean, we're thinking about, things that have to be twins, right?
Yeah.
A couple of guys in the office are like, let's do an F-15. I'm like, why? You can make an F-15 a single. It's not as good, but you make it a real twin. If it needs to be a twin, that makes sense. A-10 has to be a twin. A Learjet has to be a twin. An airliner has to be a twin. So, the response on A-10 has been good so far. And I think that if people like that power package as much as we think they will, then maybe we'll take it and put it into other subject matter down the road. And then also we are looking at larger EDFs like 90 millimeter, but the problem with 90 in particular, I think 70 millimeter, 80 millimeter are proven to be very awesome on 6S. You don't need to go 8S to make those work well, right? 90 millimeter, you're stuck. You got to go 6S is, high current, not a lot of flight time. 8S is better, but impractical because not a lot of us have 4S 5000 batteries laying around to put as 8.
Right.
And then 12S is the next practical step to use two 6s together, but now you're high voltage. Now your ESC is like double the price. So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place on the 90 millimeter stuff. I've got a 90 millimeter F-16 Thunderbirds, and I love the airplane, but the 6S performance is, it's not enough. It's not enough flight time. It's not enough power. I could go 8S, but then I got to buy a bunch of 4S 5000s that I don't have, and I can't use in other things. So we're going to keep looking at that. And maybe in the future there will be a way to offer potentially airplanes without power systems, like ARF Plus completion level, for example. We've been offering bind and fly and plug and play for many, many years. But what's funny is this kind of shocked me. I was surprised to see this. On low-end airplanes, like let's say the Turbo Timber 1.5 meter, we sell a lot of plug and plays relative to bind and flies. We sell a lot more bind and flies than plug and plays, but the ratio is a lot closer than it is on high-end EDFs. In EDFs, we sell many, many, many times more bind and flies than plug and plays. In fact, the plug and plays sell so poorly that we are discontinuing them not long after we come out with them because they just don't sell. And it's very odd to me that that's the case. But that said, we're looking at maybe changing the dynamic. Maybe that's because people say, hey, I either want to bind and fly, I'm all in, I want to pull it out of the box and go, or I love that airplane, but I want to put my own fan in it. I want to put my own 8S system, 12S system, whatever in it. So, maybe that's an opportunity for us to offer those ARF Plus models down the road in higher end EDFs in particular, so guys can do their own thing. Or, let's say you smoked in your Havoc, and then you got this good fan and motor and ESC, and you got nothing to put it in. But if you had an ARF Plus, F-18, you could drop it in there.
Yes.
So something to think about. We're looking at that for the future, but EDFs we're not done with them yet.
We got guys that want to pre-order the SR-71 right now. On the topic of cheaters, they don't bother me. I get it. You got to feed the fan. I look at that Sukhoi 30 and it's like, it's so big. It's so flat. The ducts are so long. If that son of a gun didn't have those cheaters and you pulled high alpha, you probably wouldn't have the grunt to, you'd starve the fans. So cheaters are there because they need to be. They don't bother me. I'm glad they're on the bottom. You know what I mean? And on the F-16, what it loses in through the tube, it gains kind of on the outside, being kind of slippery. I mean,
Yes.
the F-16 is the story of the F-16, the real one, is pretty interesting, and ended up being like one of the lightest weight, cheapest made. Who was that? General Dynamics, right? Man,
Yep.
what a neat story, the F-16. American ingenuity, bargain basement kind of stuff, and ends up kicking butt and taking names. Just really cool. Would
It's a
you
sexy
guys?
airplane.
It
It's one of my
is, man.
favorites by far.
They fly really good, especially if it's not too heavy. We did the E-flite 70 millimeter F-16, and it was a sponsored job from one of the community members, a good friend of ours, Mike Kennedy, who's in here a lot of the times. Great guy, businessman out of California. I think he runs his business off my Amazon store. I mean, the dude's a heck of a supporter. But yeah, so he bought that jet, had me and Mike fly it. We flew it in Muncie. He wanted us to sign it and stuff and then send it back to him. He's done that a few times. And I want that jet. I flew it. I got to get my hands on it, and I've always wanted one ever since then. And I've flown all the other foamy ones. The HSD one's amazing, but you don't stuff it in the car and run it on 4006S. It's like when you take a turbine out. You don't just stuff it in the trunk and you're going to go just crack one off. You're going to spend half a day, a whole day flying turbines, just like you are flying 12S EDFs also. So, yeah, the 90s are there's a weird balance in there between wing loading, flight time, all this stuff that some jets I think just land on. Maybe sometimes by mistake, and end up being a real winner. I mean, I've flown some 90 millimeter stuff that's like not a lot of fun. I feel like it's really heavy on the wing loading. I hold my breath for 3 minutes. It's just not as much fun as some of the other things I get to really enjoy and savor. It's got a wide flight envelope. You don't have to be on step the whole stinking time. And I think a lot of guys really appreciate those jets. I think one thing we forget too is that every time, if you're especially at a club or flying with other people, really it's a performance. Everybody wants to look good flying this stuff. You want to be able to put them in, land them well, do your stuff in the air. But, the landing trick is the one everybody must perform, whether they practice them or not. So the better it is on the ground and the better you can land the thing, the better you look. The more people are interested in also trying that one on. So those kinds of things all come into play where there's this middle ground that seems to benefit from loads of power, also lightweight, not too big, not too small. I really think the 70s and 80s are a sweet spot. The Twin 64 is going to be dynamite. I think the power system in that 810, it's so bloody. Mine were sound so stinking good. You really had to listen hard because they run so nice and smooth. It was hard to hear them actually, because a lot of us are listening to these EDFs to kind of figure out how we've set our descent and those kinds of things. And that's not a con at all. But if I had a con on the A10, it's like it's tight in there. And listening, mine sounded so stinking good it's hard to hear the fans, but that's not really a complaint. But yeah, man, awesome. We've had these guys in here for 3 hours. We could go on forever. My wife said, don't be a piece of garbage for Easter tomorrow, get some sleep. So we're gonna
I gotta touch upon one topic because everybody keeps bringing it up, which is the Draco.
Oh, okay, do it.
So I will say that we're still working with Mike on some projects. We still can't say specifically what it is, but I will say this. I'd like to ask a question of the people that are left. If we were to make a Draco, I'm going to give you three size choices, and I would like to see how people respond. If it was a UMX or a mid-size, like let's say turbo timber size, like 4S 2200, 3200, or 2 meter, like more like a Carbon Z Cub. Which of those three would you guys prefer a Draco to be?
A lot of guys are going to say Carbon Z big.
Yeah.
So a little perspective. You're talking basically 24, 28-inch wingspan, 59-inch wingspan, and
Yep.
what's 2000? 78?
80 something.
80 or above.
6.5, maybe pushing 7-foot wingspan.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, it's blowing up.
Wow.
Oh, it's blowing up.
I wonder if we made the right. I'm not gonna say anything.
you got. Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna have to go back here and look at this for market research.
Wow.
Cambridge Analytica. I'll sell you the info for your campaign.
Holy cow! Yep. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Wow. So there's okay. Definitely not a lot of UMX ones. But a lot of mid-size, a lot of 2-meter. Yeah, I mean that's something to go off of. Now, obviously, we've been working on something for a while, and with the things that are going on in the world, I will say this: that we had a lot. We have a lot of new airplanes coming still this year. Things are going to slow down for a little bit from what they were supposed to be. We basically had a new plane scheduled to be announced almost every 2 to 3 weeks up until all of this hit. And although most of our factories are back to work now and our engineers are back to work, and a lot of our guys on this side are working from home and still able to go out and test fly and keep things going, we did miss about a month there where China was shut down in particular. And so everything's going to get pushed out a little bit. So we're not going to have as many new releases in the next couple months as we had hoped to have or originally planned to have. We got a lot coming, though. Don't get me wrong. And a lot of the stuff that's complex is pushed out a little further. So the simpler projects, maybe like, smaller airplanes in particular, lower cost airplanes, less technologically advanced airplanes, they're staying on track a little faster, a little easier. So just something to keep in mind. Don't give us a hard time if you're like, oh man, you guys haven't come out with a whiz bang such and such in a while. There may be a little bit of a lull there. But we're still working. We are working with Mike. Obviously, a lot of people know that the full-scale Draco did crash. Very unfortunate circumstance there. He's working on Scrappy. And so, but we're working as closely with him as you can, as possible. And I think it won't be anytime in the next couple months, but I think by later this year, we'll definitely have something that we worked on with Mike out there.
Nice.
Man,
that's fantastic.
Comments are blowing up, man.
They are. I mean, these guys will keep you. I last show, I went till like 3 a.m. It was probably about now. I decided to start building an F-15. Put an afterburner in it and all that stuff. I was up till 3. And
I can't hang.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
We still have 340 people. Wow.
It's amazing. Guys, if you're hanging with us and you're just hanging for the prize, that's cool. I get it. You're awesome. I invite you to come back. Stick around the channel. It's not all about live streams. This is a supplement that came after years and years of making flight videos, tutorials, things like that to help share my love for the hobby. And it seems to be working. Folks love it. They keep coming back. We built the greatest fan base around, at least if you ask me. And so stick around, come back, subscribe, do all that stuff. Tap the bell. We post content on the newest, latest, and greatest, like coolest releases. And we're just having a good time. And we do this stream once a week, Saturday nights. So don't get a burr in your saddle if you didn't win. Not everybody can be winners, but everybody wins a free subscription. It's like Oprah.
Maybe,
you know what? Free subscriptions for everybody.
Maybe what we should do is have Cody tell everyone what we're going to give away.
Let's do that.
So they know what's coming. And then we can wrap it up soon. But yeah.
I think Jason and I did agree to go ahead and do the DX9 lanyard. I think that's what we wanted to do, right?
Yes.
The next strap. Yes. I'm just kidding, guys. No. We will do a Spectrum DX9 transmitter for the community. So we will do a Spectrum DX9. So if you are looking for a new transmitter, of winning one tonight.
Holy moly.
So we do appreciate you guys staying around this long. I know it's been a long night, especially for some of you guys on the East Coast, but we appreciate you guys being here.
Lori put me in the drawing.
So we'll do the drawing behind scenes again, just to make sure there's no trolls here again, guys. Sorry about that, but please go ahead and make a comment right now so that we know you're here. Just go ahead and make a comment. There should be 339 people making a comment right now, so we can go back and look later. Yes. But yes, we will do the drawing here shortly.
Lanyard. I like that earlier. Yeah, we'll do. Well, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about in particular, and then I wanted to see if you guys had any other questions before we wrap up. I know we don't want to go too much longer. The one thing is, people had asked about wood ARFs and how about smaller wood ARFs, like our 250 size ARFs. So the one interesting thing that's happened in our industry over the last 10 years is that most of, obviously, our products are produced in Asia, and the cost of labor has gone up considerably. And then finding skilled labor is more difficult than it's ever been because it's more competitive, because there's more factories making more things. And so wood ARFs are becoming much harder to get built and much more expensive to get built than ever before. And so when you look at making a 250 size ARF, like let's say, I don't know, 40-inch wingspan wood ARF versus a 20 cc 60 some odd inch ARF, the labor is almost the same, and the material cost is not a lot different. And so it would cost like $200 for us to create a new 250 sized wood ARF, and we could easily sell you a bind and fly foamy for the same price with lights in it and all kinds of other scale details that you can pull it out of the box and go fly it. So I hate to say it, but I think the reality is that the small wood ARFs are kind of gone. We don't want it to be the case, but it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Then the mid-sized wood ARFs, anything that could be foam, it's hard to justify making it in wood. And so like a 1.2 meter warbird, it just doesn't make sense to make it in wood. It would cost more money, and then you wouldn't have all the nice sexy curves that you've got, and all panel lines and rivets.
Yes.
So I think wood, it lends itself well to the like let's say 60-inch and above category in particular, and then also like wood, or I would just say subject matters that are a little bit better squared off edges. So wood warbirds we can do pretty good, like our P51 20cc and the P47. They're pretty curvaceous airplanes, and they look pretty good. But that doesn't come cheap. Those are not cheap airplanes. By the time you outfit one of those fully, you're $1,200, $1,500. But that said, we need to bridge the gap better between foamies and wood airplanes. There's not a lot in that kind of mid-size 10 to 20 cc wood range. And so we're looking at ways to get guys to move up that ladder, not really up the ladder, just move to a different part of the hobby. And one thing is, when you move into wood ARFs, you're going to have to learn how to hinge surfaces, install control horns, shrink covering that's loose. These are new skills that you're going to have to learn if you want to get into that. But at the same time, maybe we can offer a plug-and-play wood ARF that bridges that gap. Maybe the hinges are already glued in for you, but you still have to install a push rod or two or something like that you're used to doing in a foamy. And then now you can enjoy that wood ARF experience without having to go through that huge steep learning curve of learning how to glue all that stuff together. I mean, gluing CA hinges is like, I don't love doing it. I can do it. I will do it. But I don't want to do it. And so I can imagine a person who's never done it before going, oh gosh. Thin CA is like the worst thing that's ever happened and the best thing that's ever happened. You can imagine all the time I'm like, oh crap, it's just everywhere. See, thin CA gets all over the place, and it's, again, you need it for CA hinges in particular, but man, it's not a fun thing to work with.
I use the medium CA on the tail of the A10 only because it says so in the book.
Yeah.
I prefer the contact or a slow cure epoxy to have some work time if you mess it up.
Yes.
I have this is a crazy idea, but I have a feeling if we go back, there's 340 people in here. If we go to the comment section of this original contest, I think we're going to draw forever before we find someone in this room. So I have a suggestion. I want to let you know. I want you guys to let me know what you think about it. It's kind of weird, but I think it could actually work. Lori, so I have a crawler video with an Axial SCX-10 II. Can somebody put that link in the chat here? And Lori, I don't know if you can put it in the description. It's just that little crawler video. It's a couple minutes. You don't have to watch it. Little crawler video. There's some music to it. I'm doing surface stuff too. I'm having a good time with it. But the way the drawing works is it's going for the comments, and we can filter the language in the comment. So the 31 comments in that video that are there now will not count. They'll be filtered out. So what I want you to do is go to this Axial SCX-10 II crawler video that's on my RC Trucks playlist right here on this channel. And you're going to comment in the video down below in the comment section. Write DX9, glad to see you, love what you're doing. If you say something nasty, that's not nice. But say something and make sure it says DX9 in it. I'd like to say put DX9 first in your comment, but I know a lot of people have a hard time following instructions. So just put DX9 somewhere in the comment, and we're going to filter and draw from that video. So that way we're going to reward you folks who are in here now, rather than another 350 or 400 that aren't here at all.
Makes sense. I like that.
So that's the way we're going to do it. Somebody please put a link into that video for me. All right. And you guys go over there, make a comment below that video, and come right back. Okay. We're going to give you a few minutes to get that done. Why don't you roll the 2-minute timer, Lori? We're not picking a winner off of it, but we're just going to roll the 2-minute timer. Does that sound okay, guys? We're flying by the seat of our pants, pun completely intended here.
Well, you're dropping 400 people that probably aren't here, so we don't want to sit here and draw for 2 hours. I think that's a great idea. I was thinking either that or asking a question like what the boozers were thinking of something that was at the very beginning of the chat.
You know what? Then you've got 30 people that know the answer.
That's true.
So that's the deal. I like that idea too, except for 30 people will know the answer. And then it's like, that's kind of tough.
Yeah, you'll bum some people out that stuck around to the end.
And then you got to count. So then the way you pick the winner, it's like, okay, so the now you got to draw a number. It's like, okay, the 7th person who answered that correctly is the winner. Well, now somebody's talking about their internet speed and stuff. It's hard to please people in that kind of regard. All right, so let me look at this video and see. I'm going to kind of refresh the comments. Lori, you know what's up. You have to get the URL for that video. Right now, there's 31 comments. I'm refreshing. Let's see what it ends up being. Anybody going over there and doing it? No, it hadn't refreshed for me. Come on, man. It's instant gratification. It's going to do it right now. The views should go nuts on this video that no one's watching. Maybe the algo will 213 comments. So it's working. We're going to let it go another little while. That's cool.
There was 320 people or so in here, so I would imagine you should get about the same amount of comments if they're following directions.
Yeah, and it says there's 278 watching now. That number may grow when folks come back in. So we'll give it a minute till we all agree we're at a decent number. And you just got to go with the flow, I guess, even when the flow doesn't go your way.
So again, guys, this is to win a Spectrum DX9 transmitter. Probably in my opinion, I mean, it depends on your skill level is, honestly, but the DX9 is a transmitter that'll pretty much take you as far as you need to go in the hobby, unless you're planning on really getting into some advanced stuff. Like if you're getting into turbines or maybe like a giant scale B25 and you're wanting to put, the turrets to make a move with a servo and you need all those extra channels, then you might need a 12 or a 20, but I find myself using my DX9 over all my other transmitters in most cases.
Yeah, the DX9 just feels good. It's just
I love mine.
It's like everything's right about it. It's the right size and shape, and the sticks feel good, the switches feel good, everything feels good on it.
Guys,
absolutely.
If you want in on the drawing, you have to write DX9 in your comment.
Oh man.
You have to write DX9 in the comment. Okay?
How many comments did you have on that video, Ryan?
I had 31.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any way to say DX9?
Is there any way to separate the 31, or are we going to draw some car guy watchers in this here also?
That's why I said they got to say DX9 because then we can filter for that, which will exclude any comment that doesn't have the words DX9 in it. So that's the filter. That's how
Fair.
The 31 don't count because no one said DX9 in there because I'm rolling with a little tactic deal.
Nope, makes sense to me.
I'm glad rarely makes sense to myself.
Well, it's funny about the following directions thing.
It is.
You'd be surprised, honestly.
I wouldn't.
I think I'm more or less telling that to the community.
Click how? Yeah, I'm actually surprised every time. I have little children that I expect to not listen well, but the guys I work with at my job, they ought to do better. And and contest when, hey, you know what? We got 290 in the room, 284 comments. I'm feeling not DX9 in this chat, guys. It's gotta be DX9 in the I'm not doing another giveaway till I hit 100,000.
I feel like this is how Jason thinks about me when we're working together.
If you win, you are keeping it because we're gonna stick a fork in it. It's gonna be done. Josh Weaver, the DX9 comment has to be in the. It's the only way we can do it because we cannot put the live chat URL into the random generator. That's why I'm sending you on this Easter egg hunt to get a $500 radio. Okay.
Boozers, can we throw another link in the chat just one more time? Final last call.
Yes. Last call. Link in the chat to my crawler video. Please and thank you. And then go over there, make a comment, and say DX9. Go triple time.
40 seconds, guys. We're going to put the link in here one more time. You have 40 seconds to leave a comment. There it is. 30 seconds.
Holy moly.
So some guys are saying they don't know how to comment. You have to be logged in to be able to comment. Yes.
Well, if they're commenting here,
I know, that's what I don't understand. I'm confused.
I am too. But boy, that's a nice little crawler video.
Got a lot of guys interested in crawlers, man.
that angles. That was my first time I ever did a crawler.
Last call for alcohol.
Last call for the little crawl. Ha. So, all right. Oh no. Stall. Okay, talk to me, Wesley. What's up? What the vid? Oh. You're kidding me.
No. It's one of those Saturday night into Sunday morning maintenance things that a lot of people do. A lot of websites do, I bet.
Yes.
we could do something else. I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking about questions off the top of my head, like what's the maximum speed of an F-16? First person with the answer gets the nod. I don't know. Something.
Yeah.
Funny.
This guy, Grumpy John, wants us to up it to a DX20. Or IX20, I'm assuming is what he means, but no, we can't do that.
Grumpy, I don't even X20, man.
I don't have an IX20. I don't need an IX20. Yeah, IX12 is awesome. I really like my IX12. I will say I held out for a while because I was very much an old school DX18 guy, but I really like the IX12.
Yeah, you've been trying to get my white one ever since I got
I
it.
do like the Stormtrooper.
Yeah,
I
the
do like the
Stormtrooper is cool.
Stormtrooper.
It is
I just
cool.
I got the black one because I'm a cheapskate. I wanted to get the cheaper one. And now I'm jealous every time I see people with their yellow one and their orange one and their white one. And
All right, let me try to do it on my end. Your limit. Okay.
new browser.
Oh.
Oh, dang it. Yeah,
Yeah.
your IP's locked. They know.
Yeah. Let's see. All right.
They know.
Let's try this. I'm trying here.
Faster hardware in the iX12.
The 1500 mile per hour.
No, probably not the iX12.
In Fortune, hey Jason, do you remember the Sonic Combat module? Absolutely.
I have the Sonic Combat module and the drop module. I do. I got both.
They actually worked pretty good. Honestly, all things considered, they worked pretty good.
We've thought about maybe adding that port onto some of our existing models. Actually, some of our earlier receivers, I think, had the option that we could have plugged that in.
Although, and thinking now in 2020, do you think it was a good idea to have the Sonic Combat module in an airplane?
Not really.
Yeah,
I mean, the world's a little different now, so
it is. You wouldn't want to lose your motor and have an inexperienced flyer crash their airplane because of a intentional combat module.
But I will say some of the most fun I've had in the last couple of years was at Flight Fest a couple of years ago, and we did combat. I don't know how many times we did combat. I don't know if you heard about this, Cody, but I flew the V900 in one of the combat sessions. Oh, man. Just come ripping through the crowd at 120 miles per hour. I took out one guy pretty good.
Is that the one that you took out your tail? You destroyed your tail or something?
No, well, it actually took a chunk out of the wing and I parted out of the tail, but I was able to make it through the whole flight. What happened for that was I ran out of juice, so I wasn't the last man standing because I was using, full throttle so much. But that was a good time. That was a good time. I really enjoy full contact combat, I have to admit.
Yeah, it is. It is good stuff. I had the F-27 Evolution. I remember bringing it out there our last year's at RC Fest, and you're like, you better tape those wings up. The moment I touch something, both wings ejected because that has.
Did I say that?
On it. Yeah, you're like, you better tape them up. I put one in last year, and as soon as it touches something, the wings eject on it.
Oh yeah, that's
because they're just plug and play wings on there.
Example of you not listening to me.
Well, no, I taped it up. I taped it up real good. It's just I hit that guy really hard, and my plane exploded.
Yes. Oh, and so for those that might be interested, we do have RC Fest still on the schedule for June. We have not made a decision on whether or not it's going to continue. We will make the call probably around the very beginning of May. We'll decide whether or not, with everything that's going on in the world, if we're going to have RC Fest or not. But obviously, if we have it, we'd love everybody to come. If not, we are planning on having a just kind of a general Horizon Hobby fun fly sometime in the fall. Right now, because Joe Nall got canceled, we're looking at probably going all in on fall Nall if we can. So that way, or Nall in the fall. So basically, what all the things we could have done at Joe Nall, we're hoping to do it at fall Nall, and then maybe a couple weeks after that, we'll have our Horizon Hobby fun fly out at Eli Field here in Champaign.
Yeah. So it's still lots of cool stuff coming up, despite the unfortunate situation with the COVID. So we're making it work.
And I'm trying to make it work too. Apparently, these generators only let you do it a couple times. So
make Cody do it. Tell him how to do it.
No, I got it.
Yeah, thank goodness. I'm not on producer duty these days, Jason, in this video.
What?
Every time before we go live, just a little insight for you guys. Every time we go live, I'm the one that sets up the studio, makes it look all pretty for you guys. I'm the one that sets up the descriptions and the titles. I'm the one doing the audio checks, the mic checks. Not saying Jason doesn't do anything, but I like to make it look like he's a king when he comes in there. He just shows up, we hit that live button, and we're going. So I'm always doing the
I'm positive, if I'm not mistaken, that I'm always the one that starts it every time.
Okay, you hit the go button on the computer. Fair enough. I surrender.
I literally hit the live button every time because I'm always closest to the door.
And then he's like, "Are we good?" And then he's whispering, and he's like, "Are we good? Are we good? I'm like, if we're good, they can hear you. So we're always having some fun.
No, I don't do
camera.
that. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But sometimes I like how we wait a few seconds for people to come on, and I'm looking at you, and you're like, okay, go. And I'm like, what? And you're like, go. I'm like, what?
Yeah. And then we have this setup where we can switch screens in there, and it's a load of fun. We have a great time. We need to do Jason, we need to do a bloopers video of like oops lives and stuff. Like, are we on? Are we good? Are we
gold? Oh man, that makes me think of.
Oh man, it would be so good.
So I don't think a lot of people have seen me crash, have they?
Oh, are we? I'm not gonna say nothing. I'll let you put the cat.
I did crash a citation last week, and it was pretty spectacular.
At no fault, I want to make sure everybody understands that. At no fault was this crash related to the product in any way, shape, or form.
No, it wasn't. Well, I mean, come on. If I had just a little more down,
electronics.
If you had a little more altitude, I think is the appropriate word you're looking for, Jason. If you had a little more altitude, is what you needed. Had nothing to do with the airplane. No fault to the airplane whatsoever.
Is there any way we could show the people just like a snippet of that, but then not the whole thing?
If we're gonna show them, the whole thing, because if one, it's family friendly. Two, there's no curse words in it. Of course, we're professional when we record. And three, it's the whole video's great. And yours truly did the editing on it. So.
Because I'm gonna say this because we still have 340 people left, and I'm very tired, and I'm feeling funny. And I think everybody would get a kick out of this, including Ryan, Boozers. If there's some way that you can pull that video up and we can show the world live right now, I'm all for it. But you cannot make that video public.
So you said make it public? Right. I have a link to the video I can send to you in an email.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
It is. Okay. Well, Ryan, can you forward it to him because I don't have their. Oh wait, I think I do have your guys' email now.
Do I have what? Oh, okay. All right, now.
Oh yeah, you know what? That's actually probably a better idea. Let's do that.
Mr. Lask, comment right now in the chat right here. And there's a lag for me. So Aaron Lask.
All right, I sent it to you on Facebook.
Matt Miller's not here. I even tried to message him.
And the title of the video is actually very special to me. So make sure you guys.
Aaron Lask. Cody, sorry to step all over you. This looks like a young man. Probably can absolutely 100% use a DX9. Aaron Lask, congratulations, dude.
Awesome.
You just won DX9.
Is he in here?
Yep.
Yeah. Aaron Lask, I want you to answer me in the chat what state you live in.
Aaron, more importantly, do you have a Spectrum radio or do you have any Spectrum radio for that matter? Just out of curiosity.
Get rid of it now.
He's gonna go to that DX9 and be like, wow.
I totally can't. Yeah, tell me what state you're in, Joseph.
Wes, did you get that link to the video? I sent it to you in a message on YouTube, or I'm sorry, on Facebook. It says you haven't read it yet. Yeah, that's where I sent it. Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm letting this go public.
Jason, you know what? I'm actually very thrilled that you're allowing this to happen right now. I was getting tired, and this actually brought me back.
The whole deal. There's captions.
Yeah,
it's great.
No, that's not.
I edited this trying to hurt Jason's feelings. I just want everybody to know that right off the bat. So just take a look at this. It's good stuff. Okay. So just to reiterate here, guys, this is a citation longitude. The new one, again, what you are about to see is at no fault plane whatsoever.
So And this, I will say, this was at the end of the day. We shot the flight talk video. We shot the overview video. And, it's getting late in the day. We're having a good time. We decided to do some trick stuff where we're taking off of a table. And, hey, we had a great day. No mishaps, nothing bad. And I admittedly don't crash a lot. But this one is on camera for all to enjoy.
Yeah, and just make sure you guys take a look at the title of the video, too, because I think it's a true statement.
Is it coming? Oh, yeah, there he is.
Jason, I don't know what you're doing.
Michigan. Right on.
Like
Aaron Lask, send an email to info@pilotryanmedia.com with your shipping information, address, all that good stuff.
It's
all right.
all gone.
info@pilotryanmedia.com. Yep. Unfortunately, we had to move on. Aaron is the winner. Let's see.
Hey, did I say we should get one more? Because a long time ago I learned you're not supposed to say one more. Nothing. A little bit of foam safe CA and we'll be good.
Oh no! I just now see it. I'm seeing a lag.
what just happened?
Listen, on occasion, things happen.
Things happen.
Yeah,
All right, I don't hear the
in my
audio.
defense,
Was it just
Yeah.
Sorry, we know what they're
well,
saying.
the
We
ground
saw the
was lower
crash.
here
Yeah,
than
keep
it was
watching it, though.
here.
This is great.
So
interesting?
They can hear
again,
the
in my
audio,
defense,
right? All right.
I probably misjudged it a little bit.
You know, it
All
looked
right.
like you were inverted.
I was.
A little admin here. Lori, have you written down everybody who won?
Yeah, a little bit of foam safe CA will
Okay.
be okay.
You know, it
The
actually
last
looked
one
like
is
you
Aaron
did back
Lask
here. I think CA
and
back in
Matt
business.
Miller
Yep,
came
it came
in
apart.
on the wire. I'm gonna
Oh man.
hook them up. The real Matt Miller is calling me.
Bummer. Yeah, what was weird is I was inverted.
Because I messaged him.
And I guess I let
That's
off
fine.
the pressure a little bit, and then that was it.
So
I want him to.
So basically, your right hand wasn't working.
Matt Miller, I got
No.
you, man. I got you. Don't worry. Because you're in here and you're the real one.
No comment.
I
No
know
more
because you're
comments.
hitting me in Messenger.
I am very happy
So-
that we decided to go a second time.
That crap
Thank you for that.
on that crash.
Outburst of laughter.
Pretty good one.
You know,
Not like
You're
putting
the
it in a
worst.
tree or anything.
You're the worst.
full throttle invert into the
You're the
ground.
worst.
You run out of geography. I mean, what could go wrong?
Maybe you won't.
So
You definitely
listen,
won't.
um,
Oh man.
No, keep watching. It's like 20 seconds.
okay, cool.
I don't think it was 100, but
I know.
it might have been 10
There's
G's.
a really good ending to this.
I was trying to push. I
You
gave
get
it all
like
she's
another
got,
perspective of the crash.
and it wasn't enough.
I hope you enjoyed the video.
Stop it.
And I'm just dogging him here as
Stop
he's walking
it.
away. Of course, I gotta dog him, let him know how he
Nice.
just messed up. So here's another view of the crash.
Can't even see it. It's all gone.
My
So-
body language is great.
Yeah, it's like woo, and then watch.
Is this public? Can we see this?
Look, so then
Not
he just
public.
drops to his knees and watch this. Here comes the wasted. Oh, he's out. KO'd. He's done. All right. Yeah.
So I hope they could hear the audio because I'm gonna repeat what I said in the video. You are the worst.
Yeah.
Cody, you are the worst.
You know, there's a lot of love between us there, Jason. I just want to let you know that's sincere from my heart. I hope you appreciate that.
Oh, I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, you should. It only took me about 5 minutes to throw all that hate in there for you, so I hope you enjoyed it.
Well, there you go. The whole world has seen your work now.
Yep.
All
so
right.
Hope you guys enjoyed that.
That's really cool. And is that public? Can we see that somewhere?
It's going to live in your RC Pilots Lounge forever. It's not going to be public, though.
Okay. I want to take care of this right now because it went kind of crazy. Matt Miller talks to me. I have so many great community members that hit me up with questions. They talk to me. They're really wonderful about, commenting on the videos. There's so many names I recognize. There's no nepotism here. I know you all. I love you. A lot of you are new, but if you stick around, I'll know and love you too. Our buddy, what was the kid's name? Aaron Lask. He won a DX9 from Horizon Hobby. Matt Miller just by the wire showed up. I didn't see him. I don't know what happened, but I'm gonna take care of it. Matt Miller won a DX9 as well. No more prizes. No more offering to do prizes. No more nothing. That's it. We're gonna wrap the show. Matt Miller,
real quick, Ryan. I want
you're
to say one
solid,
thing.
bro. I'll take care of you.
Real quick, I want to say one thing. Just a quick. I want to say thank you all to being here tonight for the video. Especially thank you, Ryan, for hosting and having us on. We really appreciate that. We do want to, come into level with you guys and hang out and just kind of show our true colors. We also want to give a special shout out to the Merry Boozers. So Wes and his wife, we really appreciate you guys for producing. Yes. We are going to be giving the Boozers a citation longitude for helping out tonight. So we will go ahead and get you guys taken care of on that. So we really do appreciate you guys doing that and spending all your time and effort to make this happen. So again, we really appreciate it. And that's from Jason and I. So thanks to everybody.
That's fantastic, guys. I can't reiterate it any better than Cody did. There has been a lot to run tonight. This has just been really awesome. I can't imagine doing it without Lori and Wesley in the back, like shoring me up here. It's super cool. I want you guys to all remember this in history. We take care of our people. Wesley, there he is.
There he is. Hey, give him some love, guys. Give him a thumb up in the chat. He's done so much work to make this happen for us tonight. Throw him a thumb up in the chat.
For sure. And come by and check out Mary Boozer's RC YouTube channel as well. And then he does the live streams tomorrow at 8 Eastern time. So come by, say hello. Tell him you thought that Lori and him did a good job. I mean, honestly, it's really all Lori. Let's be real. And Wesley will say so himself.
All right, so Lori, that plane's for you then. Only you get to fly.
Yeah. So everybody who won, some of you probably are already in bed. You got to send your information to info@pilotryanmedia.com. It looks like everybody was in the States, which just is from Providence. Good stuff, because we just weren't sure, and it was kind of nuts.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, we're just a little YouTube channel over here trying to work things out. I got a ton of money going out in T-shirts and DX9s, but that's okay. I won't do another one of these till I'm at 50K or something. So a couple weeks, right?
Yeah. When you guys send Ryan your emails, make sure you include your first and last name and all of your shipping information as well, please.
Absolutely. We're really good at turning these things around. We did a giveaway the other day. It must have been 15, 16 prizes. And the next day I was getting and there were a lot of sponsors. We were getting the prizes, the information to the people it belonged to. So, guys, we're going to wrap it. Jeff's Custom RC, thanks for coming. Wild Bill, a lot of regulars in here now. And still 255 in the house. This show has been off the chains. Are we pushing 4 hours, man? My word, we are. Guys, stick around, watch the video, subscribe, smash the bell, like it if you're cool, don't like it if you're not. So many great people in the room. I want to thank Jason and Cody for hanging out with us, large and in charge with the Hanger Rats tonight. This is kind of how we roll, and it's so cool to have some guests. I actually don't really ever watch the replays, but I'm totally going to watch this one. I'll have to do it. It'd be more of a listen. I don't know if I have 4 hours to sit still. But,
that's for sure.
We're gonna end it. So Wesley, you'll cut the stream, and then we'll still have these guys to say, like, peace out. All right. So we're gonna end this thing like we always do. We're out of here in 5. Hanger Rats forever.
Bye,
3 you later. You're too good to be forgotten. Stick a monkey pants. We'll see you next time. All right, guys.